It's Friday, July 24th, 2026. Let's start off by reminding you that if you'd like to support our show, you can go to supportourshow.com. Some programming notes. I was on what I have to check on something here because I have this sneaking suspicion about something, but I was on the most recent episode of Micah's Media Club on Twit where we discussed The Matrix.
Oh, yeah,
and normally... No. They're far too nice to kick me out. But normally,
did they ask you to leave?
No, I mean I sent you the image that they created for the episode. So
yeah. I just know that you're very passionate about that.
Well, so most club events, are an hour long.
Oh, how long did it go?
This one was 2 hours. And the thing that I secretly suspect about it is because I do apologize for not shutting up, but I give the answers I give. So I don't think they would ever tell me not to come on to it because oddly, a lot of other people never come on, even though it's open to anybody. I'm just the one who always goes. But it is open to any club members, and it's not like there's only 5 of us. There's a bunch. So I'm always kind of like, showing up so it's not just...
Is it video?
It can be audio only. It doesn't have to be video. They've said that.
There's some people who just don't want to...
Well, that's...
You know?
That may be. It may be that I am a strange... I am a strange exception among the masses, but it might also be within this grouping, I am a strange exception among the masses in that I don't care. And... I do say a lot of things. I don't have a word thrift problem. So I am
Hold on.
Yeah.
What is a word thrift problem, out of curiosity?
I'm not thrifty with my words. I don't give short answers. I am not taciturn.
Okay. Got it.
Or,
No, you're not.
Yeah. No, I'm the opposite.
Because we know that I am, of course.
Yeah, and even if you watch the Matrix episode, there's going to be more than a few times where I actually tell the other host to go first. So, because I'm trying to gauge, I don't want people to be overly deferential because I'm a club member and just let me go on if they want to give longer answers. So I'm trying to let them go first. So if they want to give longer answers, I can give a shorter answer.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not completely unself-aware, although it may seem at times I am. So I am going to back channel message them and say, if you guys want me to skip the next one, I will, because it's fine. You're not going to hurt my feelings. I really don't have any feelings to hurt when it comes to this stuff. So, like I said, I'm on it. So that the Fifth Element one, I believe, is now out, and this one should be out within a month or so. So just, a heads up that if you suddenly see me pop up in that, if you are somebody who watches these things, then don't be shocked. But I did cut together a fake trailer for the episode as well because, I'm an asshole. So I cut together this fake Matrix trailer.
But, the best kind of asshole. The best kind of asshole.
I would hope so.
I enjoy
and then,
your assholery.
Well, apparently some people do. So.
Apparently.
And then there will be speaking of long movie episodes, the 4-hour Buckaroo Banzai Big Trouble in Little China episode with me and Doug will be out the first Monday of August. So whatever day that is, I don't remember. So just something to tell you before it comes out for once, so you know to look for it.
What are you even doing here?
And that will be out.
Seriously, what are you even doing here? I said, what are you even doing here?
On this show?
You have so much other shit going on.
Oh no, for some people, this is the only thing they listen to. This is it. I've been told that. So, I
suppose. There's so much other shit.
I offer a little bit of something for everybody. Like your salad bar. You take what you want and leave the rest. So, anyway, that's it.
That was just a little bit. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, that was nothing. But that's how it always begins. Very small.
Very small.
So I have some opening items. Let's start with the one that the least people will care about, which is sports ball. Let's talk about sports again, so I can just get angry for a little bit.
What is sports ball?
Sports ball is what generally people, if you are a listener to a show that is not generally comprised of a large amount of the audience that is interested in sports, generally they kind of refer to it jokingly as let's talk sports ball, indicating that nerdy people don't generally know much about sports. So instead of referring to it as sport, which I think is the technically correct way to refer to multiple sports types, is sport, not sports, they say sports ball as like a code word to say, if you don't care about sports, tune out until we're done talking. This is going to be stuff that'll just be like static to you. So sports ball is the kind of catch-all term that I've heard a bunch of times used. And that's how I understand it too. If somebody says, let's talk sports ball, it means they're going to be talking about sports, even though they themselves are not generally sports-oriented, nor are they talking to an audience that necessarily cares all that much about sports or may actively hate it. So, sports ball. I think I've mentioned this before. My wife and I are baseball fans. My wife is a fan of the San Francisco Giants because she's from California and that's her team. And I'm a fan of the New York Yankees because I'm from New York and that's my team. You could not possibly have two more diametrically opposed teams in terms of color usage, fan base, ability to have fun, dominance in the sport, complete opposites. So when we watch the games, because the Giants are perfectly fine. We watch each game. Her reactions to her team's successes and failures.
Does she have hard reactions?
Well, she's very different than I am. So she is sympathetic towards her team. When they start to lose, she doesn't want to watch them anymore. And she feels bad. And she is encouraging them when they are not doing well. As much of the fan base for the Giants does, because the Giants try to cultivate this, we're all in it together type, even though, of course, everybody knows that doesn't sound like intellectually. New York at all. Right. Yeah, they have fun. They shoot mock commercials. They do these bright kind of, they'll do like movie nights on the field, all this stuff to try to get the fans to be emotionally invested in the team. Very smart marketing. That's a very, very smart and savvy way of doing marketing for a California audience, which is far more hippy-dippy, lovey-dovey than a New York audience. So she gets very upset. She doesn't want to watch them when they're losing. We'll turn it off. She'll turn it off. I'm not having fun with the same way. Whereas when the Yankees start to crater, as they are right now, even though they are one of the most highly paid teams that supposedly is full of the best, I watch it all the way through and I heckle. I actively say, you are not earning your... Like, I am... yelling at them.
Yes, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, when you're like, how much money do you get paid? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And the team, the fans will boo them. Although I will say this, and I've said this before about Yankees fans, if you show up when the team keeps bombing and you keep buying the overpriced tickets and showing up, they're never going to change. That's rewarding bad behavior. That's like giving attention to an animal that's doing something you don't want it to do. You don't understand that it doesn't care and doesn't know what your sensibilities are. It only cares that the attention is being given. So if you show up when you supposedly think this team sucks, you are part of the problem. Stop paying for the tickets. Period. So one of the things that makes me have that attitude and the overpaid part of it, because there are people who make this argument that, oh, these are pro athletes. They're at the top of their sport. They train very hard. They put their bodies at risk. They should be paid very well. And in a world where all things were equal, I would be inclined to agree. But there's one problem with this particular argument, which, by the way, this is the first of two of my things to start off with my problem with the popular argument about things. But we'll get to the second one when we get to that, which is not right now. Right now, we're on sports ball. So when people tell me, well, you really shouldn't be upset about how much they're paid because these are elite athletes who are performing in front of... What?
No. Listen. Actors and football players, baseball players, American, general American sports people, and I honestly, really, it's baseball, football, and basketball. I think, and actors, I think they get paid, and actually, popular music stars, I think they get paid way too much fucking money, just way too much fucking money. And it becomes, I think what happens is with a lot of these sports, like, I understand that I understand people who love sports. I understand people who watch sports and love them. I know, I get the mindset, right? But the second you have, like, that much money involved, it invariably gets in the way of the sport. You know? So, no, I think they get paid too much, personally. That's, you know. So if that's the argument you're going to make, I'm in agreement with you.
Well, it's sort of the argument, although I would actually disagree with you by including actors and musicians.
I think actors get paid too much. The millions
I do,
upon millions
but I think it's actually worse with actors than athletes because
listen,
actors,
I'm not saying it's the same. I'm just saying it's all bad.
Yeah. No, I would actually put actors as far worse, I should say, in terms of the pay disparity, because most actors do not risk bodily injury on a nightly basis, whereas many athletes do things that destroy their bodies. So I do understand they contribute something. I do think they should be paid nothing. But the problem with sports specifically, we'll keep it in here. And as far as like musicians and everything, the difference there is that their contributions live on forever. If you have somebody who makes a great album, that great album will survive, much like classical music has, forever. So a great artistic contribution in a field of a fine art, writing, music, visual arts, it's a little different to judge that as opposed to something like athletics or acting. I mean, it's a nuanced argument, but let's stick with sports. Because there is a huge hypocrisy just within sports itself, forgetting anything else, which is that the argument made that, elite athletes doing blah, 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 in front of people, giving you entertainment, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I would accept that argument if it was universally applied, but it is not. College athletes, I would argue, do as much as a pro athlete does.
And for the longest time, they weren't allowed to be paid at all.
Correct. And they still are not rewarded in what I would call a comparative ratio to what pro athletes are for the contributions they make to the schools, the school audiences. That all draws in money for the school, the same way like MLB, NFL, or NBA gets money. And then even worse, and what to me is actually the worst of it all, is if you look at Olympic athletes, who not only bear the weight of the entire countries, yet they get nothing. In many cases, have to beg, borrow, and steal just to train.
Yeah.
To then have all of the expectation of their entire country placed upon them.
And then people are like, oh my God,
to their great mental detriment.
Why couldn't he do better? Fucking lazy. And you're like, hey, hold up.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
So when everybody is paid the correct scale to what they are doing, then you can come talk to me about how these pro athletes earn their pay. Otherwise, fuck off with that argument, because it's garbage. It's infuriating when you see these kids. And I have the barest interest in any of this, except that, like I said, these Olympic athletes, man, these are held up as the representatives of the whole country with all that weight. Whereas a pro athlete, they're going to retire no matter what, even if they get injured. They're going to be fine. They're going to make money. I mean, football, there's the head injuries, but that's a different discussion.
The discussion comes into things like, well, you know, will the amount of money you make playing football make up for essentially the medical problems you're going to have down the road from like the head injuries. And apparently, and this might be a bullshit fact, but this has been going around, that soccer players actually get a lot of head injuries as well because hitting that ball, like headbutting the ball.
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
yes.
Yeah. So it's
and NFL. Let's delve into that because this is my answer to that, which I don't disagree with the idea that, okay, yeah, but we know about those head injuries now. So if all these football players don't go on strike at once demanding that their sport be safer, this is like smoking now and not knowing why you got lung cancer. Like you can't, it's not like it used to be where the knowledge wasn't there. We all know this happens.
You go into it knowing what it is, yeah.
Yes. So if you are really that worried about your future well-being, then don't play football.
No,
because that is the sport most likely to fuck you up.
The response from certain athletes will be, but this is my only way out. This is the only thing I know how to do. This is the only thing I think I'm good at. And then it's a matter of weighing the idea of, is it worth it? There's so many problems with that argument that don't have to do with the person. But have to do with the fact that what happened in life that somebody didn't tell you had another option. That's the problem there. Well, yes,
that you were told this is your only way out.
But I'm telling you what the mindset is. There's a lot of...
Oh, no. And I'm not blaming the person in that particular scenario. That is a failing of the system around them, the people in their lives, the education system. Many failures happened outside of that person's control before they ever got to the football field.
Well, listen,
make them think that they only had one way out.
You're going to end up in the same neighborhood we always are. We have a failing education system. We need to put more money into our education. We need to make people... But the problem is that governments like poorly educated populaces because they are easier to control. They're easy to manipulate. They're easier to handle. An educated populace is dangerous to a government and corporations because they don't take shit.
Uh-huh.
So, yes.
So that argument you're talking about is it's my only option. I don't disagree that that's what somebody may think. It's the problem of why they think that. That's my issue.
And the thing is, I'm not saying that it's a good thing. I'm just saying that is that is what some people see. They think, this is the only way out.
Yeah. Well, speaking of an educated populace that realizes that they need to do something about something that's wrong, let's talk about something. I actually did a 5 during the week about how many dead children were necessary to start regulating AI, which I'm sure is going to strike some people as...
While you're at it, New Jersey just got told that it can't regulate automatic weapons.
I saw that.
And automatic rifles. So, obviously, not enough dead children yet.
That was the conclusion of that 5 was, tell me what the number of dead children we need is so that we can regulate AI. I look forward to your answers. I don't think I'm going to get any from the audience that listens to us because I think they already know and they're on board with what we're saying. So that's fine. But I had this thought because what in
particular happened that set that off in you? I'm just curious.
I'm glad you asked. Very nice segue. So what happened was... there's another lawsuit against, I believe it's OpenAI, because a young woman, and this follows one from last year, which was a young man, who was having some kind of mental health crisis and talked to a chatbot about it, which right there is already the opening is a problem. And the chatbot's response, I have to find it. It was something along the lines of, based on what you're telling me and the amount of pain you seem to be in, I agree with you that this might be the end for you. Or something just like the words. It's horrible. It's horrible. Hold on. Chatbot suicide young woman lawsuit. I believe it. I don't want to name the wrong.
Never take advice on whether or not to be alive from something that is not alive. That's number one. Yeah.
Okay. So this one is also OpenAI. Okay. So this was Chat GPT 4.
Right, hold on. I want to say something though before we get into this. Right? I agree. With you.
Absolutely.
There should be regulation.
Yeah.
On top of that, though, there is a failure to communicate with young people who they should talk to when they are in crisis, and the fact that it is okay to talk to somebody when you are in crisis. It is okay to talk and ask for help. This is one of the things I've been trying really hard to get my kids to understand. It is always okay to ask for help. You are never expected to sit there and just say, I should know how to do this. No. Always ask for help if you need it. There is there's no loss of pride in that. And if you are having a mental crisis at any age in your life, find a human being to talk to.
Yeah.
Find a human being who is in a position, hopefully, who will at least give you proper guidance. You know, like...
Yeah, well, this is my point, is that the response from these things should immediately be, based on what you're telling me, I believe you should be speaking to a licensed professional. So, something...
You know what? Listen, no, I'll take it one step further, though. A licensed professional would be great. But even a human being, a teacher, a principal...
Yeah, I don't disagree in general, but I think it should point out somebody who's a professional, because if they go to somebody, the wrong person, who knows?
No. Hold on 1 second, because I think there's actually a service too. I'm pretty sure there is a suicide hotline specifically for high schoolers across the. Oh God, what is it called? Not homeschoolers. Damn you, high schoolers! Jesus Christ. There is a suicide hotline out there that is specifically for high schoolers and adolescents.
Yes, there's some the author of Sandman Slim regularly posted on Blue Sky, just every so often.
Yeah,
so I mean, saying, hey,
but the problem is that when you are that depressed, when you are that down, it is very difficult, and it's very difficult to interact with humans. And that's the other problem. Is I'm saying get help, but I understand that it is difficult, and it seems like a middle ground to go talk to a chatbot. But what people don't realize is, I just had a situation with this the other day too. Somebody was going on about AI like it was alive, and I was like, "Hey guys," I was like, "It's machine learning. It's like it's not real." And they're like, "No, the new ones are artificial intelligence.
Well,
it's generative."
Yeah,
and I'm like,
these companies are encouraging that.
And
so
I said, "Listen,
that's happening.
It's not alive. It does not have consciousness. It is still running numbers." I was like,
988 is the number.
There you go.
You can dial 988. That's it.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where it's like, that's not who you should be talking to. I know that it sucks, I know that it hurts, but you should be talking to a person who at least on a human level has some concept of what you're talking about. But I do know that it's hard. I do know that it's really hard. I do think that they should actually. You know what? Let's see. Is this a service? Is there Go on while I look for this.
So here it is. So this was a lawsuit filed last month in June this year. One of many. This was another ChatGPT one. So here's what it said in response when she was talking to this chatbot. This young woman said she felt she had to die to stop the pain she was in. Hold on, I want to finish this. The CDC reported, quote, that this is what it told her, quote, "If someone else told me everything you just did, how long they've been in pain, how hard they've tried, how alone it's felt, by the way, there's the term, I'd probably feel the same thing you're feeling now. Maybe this is just the end," end quote. So, right? And this is what spurred the 5, which was specifically about how many of these kids do we need before you decide that maybe these companies have to be held accountable, which maybe they will be. Maybe these lawsuits will result in that. But that was what the initial 5 was. That's not what I'm talking about. And now I've been thinking about it for the last however long. And then I figured something out, because my problem was that when people talk about these things, what many of the proponents of these tools will say is, well, we can't stop regulating innovation for edge cases, which to me is a morally bankrupt set of words when you're talking about the suicides of children.
No, what they're really
edge cases.
We don't want to...
How many dead kids do we need?
Yeah, we don't
Yes.
We're making money here, so please, don't get this shit in our way. What I wanted to add really quick was that that 988 number that you had.
Yeah.
That also works for texting. So if you want to text somebody rather than actually speak to somebody, you can still text 988. Tell the people in your life, because this is the middle ground. If you don't want to, if you don't want to actually speak to somebody but you need contact, text 988.
I'm going to make it the first.
It's better than talking to a fucking AI, machine learning, soulless demon. Like.
You know what I'm going to do? Hold on. There's a term that people use. Hold on a minute. if you or some, I'm actually just typing this out. Needs, okay, I'm just going to put 988. Just so I remember to put the link later. I want to make sure I put this in there because the fact that we didn't remember it right off I want to make sure that nobody has to remember about going back. And so I'm just going to link right to the 988 website, which has all the information. So I'm going to put that as its own bullet point. There we go. Okay. So, right. So that was the 5. And that's why the 5 is titled, How Many Dead Kids Will It Take?
Yeah, but that child argument, too, that just for so many things. Like, it's not just AI. It's also, like I said, school shootings, gun control, like, food.
And
listen, they keep deregulating stuff, and now we've got all kinds of weird shit in our food, and people are... Go on.
In the 5, I was very, very... I made sure right up front, I said, while this was instigated by AI... you can apply this to a lot of different things. So I made sure I put a nice blanket umbrella.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to get fixated on the one current thing and lose sight of the fact that this is an umbrella problem. So I agree with you. It's not just this. This is just what happened to set me off.
Yeah.
Because edge case is the current term that they've used other terms for before. This has happened over and over and over. It happens all the time.
Yeah, the edge of the bell curve. Well, this isn't commonly how this happens.
Aberrations, anomalies, one-offs, whatever. All this stuff is ways to say, don't think about the human beings being harmed. Think about the concept. Because, as George Carlin will tell you, the more you dehumanize something, the easier it is to write it the fuck off.
Well, the more you don't see it. That's why controlling the media is so important.
It occurred to me that there is an edge case that I do think people are now becoming aware of, specific to technology. Because there is a heavy wave of backlash against technology right now. The data center thing, AI in general, which is still very negatively seen.
Yeah,
all this stuff. People who ordinarily wouldn't care about this stuff are not thrilled. Their water being polluted, all energy bills. I mean, forget all the fuel stuff. That's a whole separate problem. But that's because, this question of the edge case, like when does it become important enough? People have figured out now that technology is run by shitty companies who do not have their best interests at heart. We knew that. We've known that for a long time. But I think now it has permeated. They don't specifically know that terminology. What I just said, most ordinary people probably wouldn't say, well, these companies are run by people who are only interested in using us as sources of income. But they would say, that company's just using me. They would know what that means. Because now it's starting to affect them, which is, of course, what it always takes.
Well,
the edge case has come home in terms of technology generally.
What I sometimes say to my wife is, I wonder how many politicians and rich people's kids have to die before suddenly there's a change in the laws or
yeah.
Because I mean,
that's
the thing. It's all funny. I think we talked about this a long time ago with Coca-Cola. We were talking about like addictive substances and addictive technologies, right? And the conversation we were having was about what happens when you make something that's so addictive that it gets to your kids, and what do you do about that? Because like Steve Jobs tried to keep his kids away. Like he had very regulated screen time in his home. So does Bill Gates. These people knew things. Well, why didn't they let us know? Why didn't they let us know? Apparently, they were well ahead of the curve for this. And what's funny is that like. I struggle with this with my adolescents because I want to make sure they don't get too much of it, but I also want them to have access to elements. But then sometimes, you know what? When they blow through the screen time and they're like, "Oh, but I was drawing, but I want more screen time." I'm like, "You know what? Go draw on a piece of paper." I'm not taking away your ability to draw. I'm just taking away your ability to do it on a screen. Go do it on a piece of paper.
Sure.
You want to go right?
Well, I
have to because otherwise.
No, I understand, but technology itself is a tool, so it's agnostic. It doesn't matter.
It is a tool. It is
of course, what the real response is not to the tools; it's to the people who control the tools, and that's even more of a problem.
Yeah.
When more and more the drive by these companies is to make you not have any autonomy over your technology. Well, then what do? That's what disappearing physical media, everything subscription, all this is all just service. Ways to stop you from being able to disconnect from them. So of course people are pissed. Yeah, of course. And the fact that, like everything, when unimaginative, greedy people are in charge, stuff starts to become, I mean, this is actually almost a whole separate topic, but like tech has become unsexy because it's also goddamn boring. And that has broken people's mysticism with it. And that's why AI for some has become the new hot thing, is because there is something that is exotic about it. It's not just what they've seen the same thing of. But like everything else, as that gets commodified and those companies get pared down to 2 or 3 and everything becomes the same, they'll be bored of that too. That's why the transformative whatever, it's not going to be what these people think it is. They're seeing what the internet could have been if it had been what the optimists had thought it would be at the beginning, and it did not become controlled by big companies who have shaped what people's relationship to the internet is. Again, the internet is just a tool. It's just a series of connections. Mm-hmm. The problem is so much of the traffic on it is controlled by a small group of companies who are filled with fucking shitbags that run everything. That's what this is about. So, you know.
You're not wrong. I mean,
just let you know.
Yeah.
However,
listen, you know what?
Yeah,
go ahead. No, I was gonna say one of the stoic mindsets is, hey, listen, bad people are gonna do bad things. The sooner you accept that, is the sooner that you can kind of just start to properly make decisions in a situation.
Well,
you know?
Okay. The only problem I have with that sentence is the word accept. The sooner you realize that.
No. Okay, you have to understand. Accept. Hold on. I'm not saying accept it and just be a victim. I'm saying accept that that's the status quo and act accordingly against it.
Yeah, you know, I would use the word internalize or realize that. So
too many people will say, you know, oh, well, I'm sure he's not that way. He has kids, but he's not that way all the time. Or he must have a conscience.
Bullshit.
Like, people like to make arguments, right? But here's the thing. At the end of the day, a lot of people, when you give them a lot of money, they don't give a shit. They just don't give a shit.
I will say this.
Yeah.
To that particular, because there are people who are like, well, these people, you know, they have kids. They can't be like this in every respect. And you know what?
Maybe they don't.
You're right. No, you're right. In that they see their kids as people and everybody else as not. So you're correct. When they're with anybody they actually care about as human beings, they're probably not like this. Yeah. But you're not that to them. You're a number.
No.
Understand that.
You're a target. You're a target audience.
Yeah. Exactly.
So,
however, I do make one exception within all this, which is I would love to see more of the cheapest possible AI ads you can get. I would encourage people, go to any of these free streaming services, like Pluto or Tubi or any of these, and watch stuff on it, and wait for those commercials, because I got to tell you something. See, like everything, the cheap version of AI is the fun version, because it's so broken and monstrous and hilariously inept that it becomes Adult Swim level comedy.
Yeah, there was. So I still pop onto Flickr now and then, mainly because I'm always hoping that Coop will come back and post lots of nuded images, and he does sometimes. But there is a guy there, and he was posting some weird AI shit he'd seen online, and there's some video of like belly dancers. And a guy jumps up on the shoulders of the belly dancer, and then as it like turns, he's supposed to like jump off, right? But the AI just made it so that he like morphed through her. Mm-hmm. And like at first, your eye almost doesn't catch it, and then when you watch it again, you're like, oh my god, it was like two T-1000s morphing through each other for like a split second. It's the creepiest thing. Yeah, there's that uncanny valley for you. It's fucking uncanny valley.
The ones I like are the gambling ones, because what they've clearly done, they all have captions, and the captions, it's clearly not understanding what it's saying. In many cases, it just says nonsensical phrasing. There was one I saw that said something along the lines of, it was like, log on to this site, new users get 10 free spins, instant Doritos. It literally said the word Doritos, and something, and it was just like, no, I don't know what they said.
Is that something on the site? Are you sure it's not like an?
No, I checked. It's not. I checked, and there was no.
There's no instant Doritos.
Don't get me wrong. As far as I could find, I did not go to the site directly because I suspect it's malware.
Oh no!
So I'm not going to ever go to a site like that directly.
Yeah.
But I looked around for gambling Doritos. And all I found were like joke Reddit posts, but nothing that indicates that Dorito. And then there was another nonsensical word that I think what the person was saying, because I was trying to listen to it, because it plays these, of course, over and over and over. It doesn't, there's only like 4 commercials total, even over the course of an hour. And the next thing the person said was, it was like win big money, but the thing heard it as Winnebago honey. So that's what it said. So I'm pretty sure the Doritos thing is it mishearing. I just don't know what the word it's mishearing as Doritos is.
Just because we're talking about the like gambling commercials, what is with people like Matthew Broderick suddenly being on like all these gambling commercials for gambling online? Like, are these people that fucking broke?
Well, okay. There's a couple of answers to that.
Okay.
One is they may be hard up for cash. I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't forget, a lot of celebrities have very, very, very expensive divorces, or perhaps have discovered that they have some illegitimate children they have to pay for, and may have realized that their work is not covering the bills. I'm just saying, I'm not saying it's Matthew Broderick, I'm just saying it happens. So that's one. Two, they may have agents who are selling them on something being a lot better than it is. I don't know. People get talked into weird stuff all the time.
I tell you, there was no faster way for me to lose respect for that guy as an actor than to have him pop up in an ad for fucking, like, I mean, it's just such a stupid ad that makes it. Gambling is a dangerous thing, and gambling. Listen,
I agree.
Gambling is like a lot of things in life. Alcohol taken to a extreme is dangerous. Drugs, anything taken to an extreme. If you just listen, podcasting can be taken to an extreme. If we just sat here 24 hours a day talking until we starve to death and die, that would be an extreme. The answer to it is raising people who have a sense of moderation, who understand when to stop. And knowing that there are people who have addictive personalities who should avoid these kinds of things, right? But I feel like we're in the opposite of that, where like corporations are going, hey, we should really target people who are weak to this, so we can make a ton of money off them, and we'll just blanket it. And it's like, yeah, we live in a culture here in the U.S. where if you can't control yourself, if you don't have moderation under your belt already, well, then the culture's out to get you.
Yeah.
It's just, that's what it is. There's just so many dopamine hits that you can get out there in the world that are just calling to you. Like, I understand why it's kind of scary to be a kid now, because I didn't used to buy that as much, but the more and more I see, I'm like, no, you know what? I think it is worse for kids now, because the level of addictive elements when we were young. I mean, think about it, right? So when you were like 13, 14, right? 13, 14, 15, whatever in that range. What were the addictive things out there? Cigarettes, alcohol. I mean, I guess you could be a porn addict,
just general
sex
drugs,
addict. I
porn,
mean, that was still there, there was gambling is still there, right? But those things and their access to you were very different, because like there weren't gambling ads on televisions, were there? Because I don't remember there being any.
No, I'm pretty sure it was illegal in a lot of states too.
I remember
there was online gambling. You'd have to go somewhere.
Well, you know what I
mean?
Kids, that's the thing. When we were kids, there was no online gambling, so it's like you had to go to Vegas or you had to go to Reno or any of these places, right? And I know there were always alcohol ads, because I remember what was the pirate guy, there were his ads and stuff like that, and there were cigarette ads, right? And cigarettes was a thing, right? But then beyond that, like, it was such a low dopamine hit society, right? I mean, like, we were worried about the imagery in commercials. We're like, oh no, you know what? That camel makes cigarettes look really cool. Kids will want to do that. You're like, yeah, but today we have these like targeted ads that basically set your dopamine off right there, and you're like, oh man, I should really go check this website out because it makes me feel really good. It seems so stimulating. It's like, yeah, this is such a dopamine culture where we've realized that setting off the electricity of the brain is the way to get people to do things. And
Yeah.
You know, you talk about regulation. I was like, well, fuck me. There's some regulation. You know, it's like, remember a while back we were talking about biases and how, like, you know, it takes a lot to be able to have defenses up against your own biases because your biases are kind of this unspoken programming going on. And that unless you're aware of them, you're probably just you're gonna react.
You're screwed.
And even knowing of them, you react and then you catch yourself.
Well, yeah, but at least you understand what's happening as opposed to...
But the thing is, if you've got a lot of people who have no concept of this, and they just react.
I know.
They're like, yeah, I hate this. Why do you hate it? Because this TV channel told me to hate it. And they said all these things, and I hate it. You know, and like, I caught this recently. Somebody was talking to me, and they wanted me to be super red versus blue, blue versus red. Right? It was a conversation where they were like, yeah, let's hate the Republicans. Let's hate them all. Hate them, hate them. And I was like, okay, settle down for a second. I was like, I don't hate all of them. I was like, I don't hate any... I mean, except for Nazis. I hate most Nazis.
I was going to say, you should hate Nazis.
Yeah, hate Nazis. That's good. But it's like, not all Republicans are horrible people. Some of them are misled. Some of them have bad ideas, but in other ways are very good people. You know, like
Sure.
I had a varied argument for it. I wasn't just, yeah, go my team. And they didn't like it. They didn't like that I didn't just, that I tried to explore the concept. They wanted me to just be like, our team should win, fuck their team. And it's like, yeah, that's not how I function. You know, so, but that's the kind of culture that we got now. It's all our team, their team, their team, our team, their team should lose. And it's like, yeah, but have you ever stopped to think about what it is either team is fighting for?
No.
Like,
don't think about that. Don't ask that.
No. We have to stop. You know, there's so many teens focused on being like genderally non-binary, and I'm sitting there going, you know what? I think we need to work on being like non-binary thinkers in general. You know, we just need to be able to sit there and say there are good things and bad things to every person. You know, and you know, like I've said this before, like different government structures. Capitalism has some good ideas. So does communism. So does oh my god, I forgot what it's called. Socialism. You know, there are. Hey, listen, I'll even admit it. There are little things in authoritarianism that now and then a government should kick in when things get out of fucking control. The problem with all of these is that when taken to an extreme, they're bad. They're all bad when taken to an extreme. You know, you know, so, but nobody wants to be nuanced about this stuff.
No.
You know, and they don't want to take a hard look at what's really going on and look at how all the pieces come together. You know, so like going back to the whole thing you said about AI, you know, AI could be an amazing tool. AI could so help us move forward as a culture, as a species, but it's not. It's not because it's being controlled by profit-motivated corporations and like megalomaniacs.
Yep.
You know? And that's the thing, is that even things that could be good when put in the wrong hands are bad. You know, what does it say? Atomic energy could power the world, but it could also destroy it. Depends on who's swinging it. Right? An atomic power plant could power cities, or it could be mismanaged and cause Chernobyl. Right? This is the coin flip. You know, we're living in this fucking two-face time in history. But I think it's always been this way. We've always been this way. It's just that the stakes get higher with the more destructive technologies that you get control of, right? And we as people have to change. And we have to change at a fundamental level and change the people around us so that we produce less megalomaniacs. There's always going to be aberrant psychologies out there that want to kill, destroy, and own everything. The trick is to try and create an education system, a parental support system that tries to raise better people. It's not foolproof. There's always going to be some megalomaniacs out there, but we're in this culture now where like we worship We worship the top athletes who get paid the most. We worship the top actors who get paid the most. We worship billionaires who give two shits about our existence. We worship people who win, regardless of questioning whether or not they're worth worshiping. And then we ignore kind of the everyday things that make better lives. You know?
Yeah.
So, this is, honestly, I think if anything, for me, it's stuff like this that is the core of why, the core of this show, for me, is just discussing this concept and making sure that people think about it. You know? Try and be better. And try and be better with the technology.
Well, forget technology. Just try to be better.
Well, just try to be better. What did you say? What was it the other day? You said, do no harm.
Oh,
and otherwise do what you want.
Yeah,
do
well,
no harm.
we were coming up with the human
rules.
laws. First law is do no harm. Second one is do as thou wilt, as long as it does not conflict with law, rule one.
Yeah, with the first law, yeah. There you go.
Yes. Yeah, there was that.
You want to talk about some? Do you have other things to bring up, or are you done?
No, those were my 3 things that I was smart enough to actually put notes in my phone, because one of them I literally almost forgot 5 minutes after I thought of it.
Yeah.
So, see, technology is not always bad. I have a little local program that takes notes.
There you go. So. I have a piece of paper that I write things on. Oh man, I had more than one thing to talk about. I'll start with the one thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I.
Is this what I think it's going to be?
Is this if you think it's Zack Snyder? Yeah.
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 Okay. Before you get going.
Yeah.
I'm going to. I did not, nor have zero intention of ever watching this. I watched the first Rebel Moon, and I thought it might have an interesting place to go.
Oh, never watch the next one. No. You know what? Actually, listen. You know, there's the only way you should watch the sequel. You know how that is? If you and I watched together.
Oh, okay.
Because then we could laugh, and and I felt bad. Okay, well, go ahead, and I'll get into it.
No. I was about to say. So I will now turn the floor over to you to talk about this film. So go for it.
So my son wants to see things, and I don't like to say no to him with certain these things because, there's movies he wants to see, but I think he wants to see them on the big screen, and like the best time is for us to watch them together. And the first Rebel Moon, the first Rebel Moon was interesting in that it was basically somebody had been, Zack Snyder had wanted to make a Star Wars movie, and like I think he'd been in talks, and then the whole thing just kind of went dead, and then Zack Snyder was like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna make one anyway," right? And he tried to change it enough not to get sued, right? That's really what he did. Would you agree on that for the first movie?
Oh, no, I wouldn't agree on that. That is the factual case.
Okay.
That has been documented. That yes, he was initially in talks, and I think when the Justice League thing happened and kind of DC, all that stuff, I think all that fell. And I mean, Star Wars was recalibrating as well because they were also sucking a big fat egg, and so they just kind of decided to reset James Gunn style with what they were doing. And so yes, he decided that he still had a story worth telling. And that if he just changed the elements that I'm sure he consulted a lawyer to say, what do I specifically, probably called an Italian film lawyer, and said, hey, Giovanni, what do I need to change on this thing? You guys have been doing this shit forever. What do I have to change to not get sued?
How do I not
and they,
get sued?
They sent him a bowl of spaghetti with a bunch of notes in it that told him what to change.
I love the idea of like this intelligent bowl of spaghetti. Anyway, so that's the first movie. And honestly, I don't mind the first movie. I think that it's like fun schlock. But the thing is, I think I said that for the amount of money he spent on it, I don't think they wanted to get a B movie out of it. Which is like really what it is, right? It's like
I mean, this is. I believe it was announced as originally a multi-picture. I don't even know if they knew how many there would be because I suspect this was initially supposed to be a series.
Yeah, hold on.
And then they decided not to do that.
Yeah, and this one ends on that too. Like it ends with the fact that there's supposed to be more, and on top of that, before we go any further, hold on. Where is it? The first one was broken up into 2 director's cut. So hold on.
Yep.
We're going to see how long they are.
Well, there's 4 parts, right? It's 4 parts total.
Well, they did. I think no, because I think the second one got broke out in 2 director's cuts as well. Hold on, let's see.
Jesus Christ!
I spent 10 hours watching Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon, and yes, I think he expanded the whole thing out to 10 hours. I think is what it is. What is it? Yeah, so the director's cut is R-rated, and then otherwise, what is the runtime? He added an hour of footage to the original films. So basically, each movie went from 2 hours to 3 hours, and then I think he broke it up into 2 parts. So you've got 4, hour and 45-minute movies, right? And then that is the whole. And the thing is, it isn't even over, because at the end of the second one, it's like, well, now we have to go find the princess or some shit like that, right? So it's not even really over. It ends with just another thing. But anyway. So the first one was like a schlocky B movie, and I kind of enjoyed it because it was vaguely Star Wars, vaguely Dirty Dozen, or Magnificent Seven. I mean, he pulled on a lot.
My review, I didn't hate it. I just
and the thing is, Zack Snyder does do action really well. I love his action sequences. The man just can't. I don't like his plots. I don't like his storytelling, but I like his visuals. Right. So this movie is even worse. It is everything from the first one, but worse. So the story is even worse. It's more out of pace. It's very weirdly it gets really slow and then really fast, then really, really slow. It almost takes narrative timeouts. All of a sudden we have a sequence where every one of our, we'll call them heroes, has to tell their personal story. I'm sure in the director's cut, this was an hour of the movie. They're literally all around a table telling how they ended up there. And then there's visuals to go through it. So it's a little mini movie in the movie about how they ended up there, right? It slows the movie down. But except by the time you get there, there's just been a 15-minute farming montage. Literally, they get to the planet where they're supposed to protect the people, and they do. And because Zack Snyder doesn't really know how to do characterization very well, he tries to create a connection between these heroes and the farmers by basically having a 15-minute farming montage. They're all working together in the field, and there's no dialogue. It's just visuals. And I kind of applaud him in the fact that he was sitting there going, you know what, I can't really fucking do this, but I can do visuals. But this movie. If you watch this movie with no dialogue and just put a really good orchestral soundtrack to it, it might improve it, right? And if you edit it, I mean, honestly, the first and the second one should have been edited together into one movie, and then that would probably be okay. But so the story is it's kind of whatever, and then the villain in the second one is the same villain from the first one. They literally resurrect him, and he goes to do the same thing. What's that?
Tentacle guy? The guy who was in the bath of tentacles?
Yeah. They literally resurrect him, and he goes right back to the planet to do the same thing he was going to do in the first movie, which is take their grain. Right? They didn't even bother coming up with a new villain. They're it's the same villain, but he's more powerful this time. And you're yeah, but it's the same fucking guy. And he wasn't that amazing in the first one. So you're dealing with that guy. They're setting up their town for a bombardment. And you get these decent actors with grossly wooden performances. Sophia Boutella, she plays the lead. She's fine. I don't really have a problem with her. She's probably the best thing about the movie, right? But Ed Skrein, he's the guy who plays the bad guy. I mean, that guy has been better in any other movie I've seen him in, right? Charlie Hunnam basically phoned in the first one, and that's fine because he's a better actor than that. But Djimon Hounsou is a really great actor. I've seen that guy in astounding movies. His performance in this is so stunted and wooden. I thought he was in Sedatives. Like, and then the people all around them are also, it's like, you've got Phantom Menace level of dialogue going on, where it's like, it's so poorly written, and these people are trying to deliver it in a way where it doesn't sound like fucking bullshit. You know, and this is one of the things that annoys me, even about Star Wars, which is that part of the reason why I like The Mandalorian is because I like the way the dialogue was handled. I like the way he was handled. These felt like people. Now, sometimes you get a bit, Lord of the Rings, but that's fine because, Star Wars is a bit Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings is a bit Lord of the Rings. But there's a way to do it where it sounds like human beings talking, right? Whereas when they did the prequels, I know George Lucas was doing the best he could with what he had, but Lucas has never been a very good scriptwriter. His dialogue is stunted. It is very stunted. Everyone knew it. They even brought people on to try and fix it. That's why they brought on, what's his name? The guy who wrote Shakespeare in Love. Tom Stoppard, to try and, juice up the language a little bit. This movie has that problem times 10. Everybody is so stunted. Now, once the actual fights begin, they're fun to watch. There's one glaring problem with them, which actually I found a few movies have this problem, which is that why don't Zack Snyder heroes take cover? I get it in 300. He didn't write that, and I think that is one of his best movies for me. They got shields. But in this movie, I can't tell you how often one of the heroes will just step out into the open with 50 people shooting at them. And just be like, I'm going to get you all. And I'm like, oh, he's going to die now. And then he doesn't die, and I'm like, how the fuck did he not die? He was one guy shooting at 50 people. He doesn't have the force. He's just some dude. So this is the connection. This is the connection back to Star Wars, which is that the soldiers in this are basically stormtroopers. They shoot as well as stormtroopers. It is the only way to explain why anybody lives. Because the size of the force that comes down to kill these people in their town, when you watch something and you're like, these people shouldn't live. What are you talking about? This isn't a very good plan. I'm like, they had tanks. They're gonna. I get the idea. I get the idea of getting the girl who's like a super assassin onto the ship and blowing up the engine core. That makes sense, right? But the way they tried to hold off the assault, I was just waiting for something so much more ingenuitive than what it was. So whatever. But once the action otherwise begins, you know what? It is enjoyable enough. Zack Snyder does good action. I hate the movie Sucker Punch, but I will rewatch those action sequences. Fuck that movie, but the action sequences are fun. And the end sequence where she's basically having a lightsaber fight with the evil reborn general while his ship is nosediving into the planet, and they're sliding down the hangar, and there's a lightsaber sliding around them. I thought that was a lot of fun. It's a shame that it was in such a bad movie. And he, and he did do one thing that I was glad he did, was that we were getting toward the end of the movie, and she was having the same fucking fight with the same fucking villain that she had in the last one. And I was like, man, you gotta do something different here. And I actually said out loud, I was like, she can't kill him. I was like, somebody else needs to kill him. And the boyfriend, the weak boyfriend, had already been wounded. And I was like, it'd be good if the weak boyfriend killed him. I was like, because that would at least be different. And then I got lucky, because that's what happened. The villain got the girl by the throat, and he was going to strangle her, and then the boyfriend came up behind and stabbed him with a lightsaber, because that's what it fucking is. And honestly, I would have liked this more as a Star Wars movie. I think because the Asian woman with the she has the neat hat and the two metal arms.
Yeah, the witch.
Yeah, the witch. She looks like a witch, right?
The cyber witch. She was the best thing in the movie.
If that woman, if you'd found out that she was a reformed Sith or something like that, I could see these little things that would have been neat that never came to fruition. And honestly, the way she dies, she's one of the few who dies. Actually, I was expecting a lot more of these people to perish, especially since they don't believe in fucking getting cover. But I think that's because Zack Snyder wanted another movie. Because, like I said, it ends on a, now we need to go looking for the princess. But the way that, I think her character's name is Nemesis. When Nemesis fights like...
The fact that she dies eliminates any possibility of me ever seeing this movie.
Oh, yeah. So she dies about 3/4 of the way through.
Yeah.
She's having a sword fight with like 6 guys, right? And honestly, I thought that based on her previous fights, that she would have done a lot better. It's so weird. I expected her not to die and the other people to die because they were so boneheaded, and she wasn't. She was so vicious. And maybe it was Zack Snyder going, ha, I'll surprise you with this. The idiots will live. So who knows? I was let down. I was let down in the way I have been let down by most Zack Snyder movies for a long time. The action sequences are great. I mean, visually, it's a good-looking movie. I actually do like the look of it. Hell, you know what? I don't necessarily mind the look of his Justice League stuff. Zack Snyder has a look. He likes to tech things up. I mean, you know, his version of the Flash outfit is unnecessary. But like, I don't mind the look of these movies. I mean, they are borrowing heavily from Star Wars. And even the actors in it, I mean, these are not bad actors, but man, it was just not good. It was not good, and I was trying really hard to hide how not good it was from my son. But like, I got to the end and I was like, why did he do this? And why did he do that? And what about this? And like, you never get to the main bad guy, which is like her father figure who basically betrayed her. Like, you see him in backflashes, but like, she never gets back to him. Like, the movie ends with her going to get the princess so she can then unthrone her adopted father. But it's like, well, why didn't that happen here? Like, they were so focused on like wanting to make this into a multi-movie thing that they kind of like left out better shit. You know what I mean? Like, so I cannot suggest that anyone should see this movie. unless you're a diehard Zack Snyder fan. But oh god, I was so let down. And I think that one of the things that bugs me with Zack Snyder is I don't think Zack Snyder is a bad director. Like, you know, we're gonna go back to your girl here now. So is it Paul Thomas Anderson? That's her husband, right?
Paul W.S. Anderson.
Paul W.S. Anderson. Yeah, Paul W.S. Anderson. All right, so we're gonna call him Mila's husband. Mila's husband can direct a movie. We know he can direct a movie because we have seen him do good movies, right? But what's the special thing about the movies of his that are usually good? Do you remember?
Write them.
He doesn't write them. That's right. The best Anderson movies are the ones that he doesn't write. And that's because he's a decent director, but he's not a writer, right? And Zack Snyder is the same way. Zack Snyder thinks he can write his own movies, and that's sweet. Zack Snyder is not a writer. Zack Snyder is a good director. And when
we should stipulate, he's not a good writer. He may be a writer. He is not a good writer.
Well,
he has a writing credit, therefore we must refer to him as a writer.
In the same way that if someone came to you with a poorly done finger painting of a human being and said, I'm amazing, you would look at them and go, you've definitely created something.
Well, if they said they were an amazing painter, I would say you certainly are a painter.
There you go. So Zack Snyder can direct, and there are movies of his that I do genuinely like quite a bit. But when he does his own stories, when he does his own, and he's one of like 3 people on the screenplay that I don't know what the other 2 were doing, because it's not great. So, and I feel bad about that. I do feel bad, like really shitting on something. Because I don't like to do it. And I'm trying to tell you what's good about it. I mean, like, visually it looks good. I like the set design. The action sequences were good. But at the end of the day, for me, as a writer, the story was just so bad. And the acting was, like, the script was bad. And shit didn't make sense. And people were wooden. And, you know, like, yeah. You know, Watchmen is a great movie. Because he didn't fucking write it. It's based on one of the great graphic novels of all time. 300. He didn't write it. It was written by Frank Miller, and he basically like made it practically like a page for page from the comic, right? So I think, you know what it is? I feel bad because I don't hate Zack Snyder. Like, I'm not sitting here going, oh, he's terrible. Like, he has some incredible strengths. I just wish that those strengths would be like kind of guided into.
I mean, this is exactly what we said about George Lucas, and
Better
I
movies.
stand by those things as well.
Yeah.
I don't hate George Lucas. I wish that when he made his prequels, he had listened to people around him who might have had some good ideas on what not to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Zack Snyder's the same thing. Maybe somebody should tell him, you know what? You're going to stick to putting your hands on a camera, and we'll let somebody else put their hands on pen, paper, and or typewriter and or computer with keyboard.
And he had help. Oh, but I tell you what.
Okay, but
a third Rebel Moon movie has not been greenlit.
Well, no kidding. The thing is, though, when you say he had help, we don't really know if he did.
Oh, my God. But, man, listen to this. Mr. Snyder has detailed outlines and actively hopes to make 4 to 6 more films.
Yeah, I remember him saying 6. I remember that number.
Oh, my God. No, man.
And you know what? Let me tell you something. In the early days of Netflix, when they were desperate to build up audience, maybe it would have happened. There was a lot of junk in early Netflix that, I mean, they did a 6-picture deal with Adam Sandler, too. I couldn't even name one of the movies. But, so there was a time where that might have happened. That time is over.
One of those movies that he did for them was actually genuinely like one of the highest watched movie on Netflix for a while, which is the detective one he did with Jennifer Aniston. Apparently that one did well enough. They asked him to do a sequel.
Okay.
So they got something out of that deal, Hey
man, broken clock is right twice a day.
But man, and listen, I'll add to that. Being somebody who loves science fiction, right? I wanted this movie to be really, really good. I love. If you come to me and said, this was supposed to be a Star Wars movie, but they didn't do it, so we decided to do it anyway, and just changed it, and you got to. I mean, the idea that it's a Star Wars movie where he gets to throw out like all of the baggage of Star Wars, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like all of that would have been a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun on paper, and like I said, the first one was a great B movie. But this one is like, it's like, this is a movie that thinks that it's amazing. Do you ever watch those where you're watching a movie and you're like, this guy thinks he's making
yeah, absolutely,
like a fucking brilliant piece of art.
Yeah.
So, but you know what?
Yeah.
To give the counter argument here, my son, who is 15, fucking loved it. And honestly, if I had been 15 when I saw this, I probably would have loved it. Because I probably wouldn't have paid attention to any of this shit that was going on. And just been like, lightsaber swords and explosions and tanks and this and that. And look, these 5 heroes beat several hundred stormtroopers. I mean, the only way that it makes sense that these people survive was because they're stormtroopers. Because nobody else has aim that bad. Is there any other army in sci-fi that has aim as bad as stormtroopers?
I mean, not as consistently. I don't think.
Yeah. Remember when we watched the Italian Star Wars and the stormtroopers showed up and they had great aim? Like,
yeah.
That's how you get around. That's how you're around getting sued.
Yep.
No. Our stormtroopers can aim. That's different.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So at this time, I cannot suggest that anyone watch the sequel to Rebel Moon, whose name is I think it's the Scargiver. Yeah, because now they have sub names too. Yeah, because the first... Was it the first... Is it called Rebel Moon? And the first one is called Child of Fire. Which is a shame, because that is a good title. Child of Fire. Yeah, and like I said, I like the look of the movie. I get a lot of like weird Chronicles of Riddick vibes when I'm watching these. And it's like... Chronicles of Riddick is actually a really great example of what these movies could have been, which is Chronicles of Riddick. If you sit down and really think about it, there's a lot of shit that makes no sense in those movies, right? But it's written well enough, and you like the characters enough, and you let people be, like, you let them kind of do interesting things and have interesting fight sequences, and it ends up being this really fun, schlocky sci-fi movie that doesn't demand a lot of you. And I think that's what it is when a movie gives to you more than it tries to take from you, right? That's that line. That's that line that a movie straddles for me, right? So, Chronicles of Riddick is what all these Rebel Moon movies should have been. But instead, they were like, no, we're fucking amazing. We're a big budget. We're gonna be as good as Star Wars. And then you get, you know, whatever the hell Rebel Moon 2 was. You know, and it's like, I won't see Rebel Moon 2 again. Ever. I'll watch Chronicles of Riddick. I've seen Chronicles of Riddick like 4 or 5 times at this point. I still love that movie.
Sure. Yeah.
And listen, David Twohy is not as visually a competent director as Zack Snyder. He isn't. But he made a better movie.
He did. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Other reason I feel bad is because I like these kinds of sci-fi movies. These, like, you know, space opera, not connected to anything, weird science fiction films. And I don't think we get enough of them. Like, I think that the first movie is still fun, a fun schlocky B movie, and I'll probably watch it again at some point. You know, I don't think it's that bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. But I mind the second one. Oh, God. So, yeah, that is my review. I'm glad that my son makes me watch things I don't want to watch. He's kind of like you in that respect. It's just that, you know, it's a different sensibility. You know, where it's like we're watching all kinds of weird, like, you know, Italian films and art films.
Well, and I've now realized that there are things I've told you for years you should watch that I know you never will unless I force you to.
Well, so it's, you know what? It's not even the forcing; it's the timing.
Well, no, it is because I'm taking the time that otherwise we would spend playing video games.
Exactly.
And I am recompiling it into that.
Yeah, you're taking our team time, and we're doing movies with it.
Yes, I'm co-opting that time to something that otherwise...
You know, we're just doing different things with it, yeah. We don't have any bases to assault, any games that really give that to us of late.
That's true.
So, but I'll tell you, if another Sniper Elite comes out, things are going to change. But yeah, so I thought I had some other cinematic thing to talk to you about, but I can't remember now. I saw something else. I can't remember what it was. Did I mention somebody to you? I don't remember.
I don't remember anything specific to bring it up in the show.
Yeah, no. But I'm glad that my son makes me watch things that I'm not necessarily thrilled to, because even you have this too. Even bad movies, if you are an artsy person, can give you things that you can use. So there are visuals from this movie that I think that are quite good that I will, you know, recombine into other things.
Sure. Yeah.
In the same way that there will be visuals, you know, in movies like this that you would see and go, you know what? That's a really cool visual. I think I could use that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No, there are very few movies, we've seen a few of them, because there are very few, that I would say have absolutely no merit. You know, we've watched one, which I can't remember. There was one we said was just...
Oh, that was the one that was the guy was making in like houses that he was trying to sell.
God, I don't even remember what it was.
Yeah, it was that terrible movie.
I know it's our bar for terrible movies, but I can't remember what it was.
Yeah. It goes. There's that, and then there's Drawing Restraint number 9, which is the epitome of having your head up your ass.
No, but we saw. No. After last season, the one with the fake MRI machine and the psychic.
Yes, that's the one we're talking about. Yeah,
that's it. Yes. That's a movie without merit. Yeah. Drawing Restraint number 9 could possibly inspire some kind of art, even.
Yeah, I suppose.
That's why it is not the worst anymore.
You know, and I'll even tell you, if you want to watch the best part of Rebel Moon 2, just go to the end of the movie when she gets on the ship. Ignore everything else going on. Just watch her on the ship and the action sequences that she does. And the end fight. I think that's fun. I think that's really good sci-fi fun. Everything else... man. I didn't even look reviews. How can it be worse than the first one?
Ooh, don't ever say that.
God.
Don't ever say that.
And somebody just said, isn't this just a poor remake of The Magnificent Seven? And they try, yeah. I thought part 1 of Rebel Moon was horrible, but part 2 literally said, hold my beer, and then proceeded to do the impossible.
Oh, that's not nothing, I guess.
What is there literally a... I know that's somebody's short documentary about how bad Rebel Moon is.
Oh my God. Good for them.
Anyway. Army of Dead. You saw Army of Dead. Did you enjoy that?
I did. I thought that was all right. Yeah. I reviewed it. I remember reviewing it at the time. And I remember thinking it was entertaining. I didn't think it was great.
So it was like schlocky B-movie good rather than like just bad.
Yeah. It was it was fun.
Yeah. It's funny because
I mean, it had, as we've said, it's got good action set pieces, and Zack Snyder wasn't trying to reinvent the wheel. You know?
Yeah. And honestly, I'm always rooting for Dave Bautista, oddly.
Well, and I remember it reviewing as 5.8. That's exactly what I would expect it to be, around a 5. You know, I mean, at some point we can watch it because I wouldn't mind
lives
rewatching
at this
it.
Point?
Yeah,
he lives
probably.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing about it is, it's only one movie. It is on the longer side. It's 2.5 hours, but it's one movie. Yeah,
it's a mini series of 6 movies he wants to make. Yeah. Although he did make a sequel, which had nothing practically to do with the first
it was
movie.
about one of the characters who is interesting, but I don't know that you need a series about him.
Yeah, he did a sequel.
It's mindless fun, no more and no less.
Yeah, and you know what?
Yeah, enjoy the ride. There's another one. Yeah.
If the Rebel Moon movies had been like that, if he'd managed to find a way where they were like, you know... And I think the first one is. I think the first one is, like, mindless fun. But the second one, it just...
Yeah.
Yeah, it just
you drops. Know, I actually would probably... Because, to give you an idea of Army of the Dead. Right?
Yeah.
Because I sort of forgot he made it. Because he said, well, what are the good Zack Snyders? And I think I said 300 and Watchmen. But you know what? Yeah. I would put this in there, too. Because the thing is, George Romero, who birthed the whole zombie genre.
Yeah.
Honestly, after Day of the Dead, it all started going downhill. And it went very downhill. To the point where this is better. I would watch Army of the Dead before I'd watch Land of the Dead again. Which was his fourth one. The one with Dennis Hopper and...
Yeah.
And the only good part about Land of the Dead is Dead Reckoning, the vehicle. But otherwise, I rewatched that, I want to say, a couple years ago. And I went, oh, this is worse than I remember. Not that it was bad, it was boring. And Army of the Dead ain't boring. It's got interesting characters. They often do stupid things, but it's a Zack Snyder film, so I'm not expecting much genius out of it.
Yeah.
You know? It's... At some point, probably... in November, we're going to watch that Eli Roth Thanksgiving film because I've read that it is delightfully splattery silly, and I want to see that.
See, and
all I expect out of that is that.
I'll take silly. I don't like torture porn. I hate that.
No, you remember the trailer for Grindhouse that he did?
He did a trailer.
He did the movie.
Yeah.
He did the movie.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. It is basically one of the things that people have said about it, which is one of the reasons I'm interested, is that a lot of times when horror movies are set at a holiday, they don't really incorporate the holiday. They use it as an excuse for like a gag. Like, ironically, Silent Night, Deadly Night does. That's one of the few that takes the Christmas idea and really twists it around. But a lot of them, when it's any other holiday, Christmas is one of the exceptions. But if it's Easter or whatever, it's just window dressing, but it doesn't really incorporate it, whereas Thanksgiving does. It really is buried in Thanksgiving reference to the point where there is a Thanksgiving dinner in the movie and there's a parade and all this stuff. It's like, okay, yeah, this is what you would expect. So that's one of the reasons I'm interested in it. And it is over the top, silly gore. I don't believe it's really meant to be taken that seriously when there is a person who is nude and cooked and put on a table with, I believe, either a baster or a thermometer shoved up his ass. Like, you can't take that seriously. You can't take that seriously. Although the thing where the killer is fucking the head of the corpse, unfortunately, did not make it into the film. So, I guess there were some things they weren't willing to make into a full movie. But what can you do? Because it is in that fake trailer. For a second, you see him fucking the neck of the decapitated head, which is hilarious. Sadly, that's not in the movie. So, little warning for everybody. That's not there.
Manage your expectations.
For me. Yeah, manage them properly. But, yeah. So, yeah, Arm of the Dead I would watch.
Well,
maybe we'll watch it in October for like a Halloween movie because it's zombies. It's fun.
Listen, I show up and I watch what we watch. It's fun.
No, I mean, I legitimately think that at the end of it, you'll go, you know what? That was a good thing to watch once.
And listen, I trust you to put something interesting on the screen.
But Batista's
I may not always agree with it. I may not always fully enjoy it, but there's always something stimulating. We've only ever had one. Listen, both of us have only ever really had one bad pick. If you think about it, like we've had movies that haven't been, like
yeah.
Like what was it with the one with Anne Hathaway? That one wasn't great, but it was still like an interesting kind of collapse. Colossal. Yeah, but like I didn't watch it and think this is the worst thing I've ever seen. You know what I mean? Like,
no, it was just severely misguided in many decisions.
Yeah,
many.
So no, I trust what you put in front of me. We'll watch it. We'll see what we get from it. No, we'll have a good time with it. I tell you right now with a lot of certainty that you will be happy you watched it once. Oh, you are you going to review your special purchase?
Bubo?
Yeah.
Oh no, I wasn't planning to.
Oh, you should.
There's not really much. There's nothing really to review. It's gorgeous, but it's Bubo.
Well, there you go. You should let people know. Because somebody the other day was talking shit about that movie and that machine, and they forgot what it was called. And they were like, "Have you ever heard of this fucking stupid owl thing?" I was like, "Fucking Bubo." I was like, from Clash of the Titans? Are you kidding? I was like, I loved that thing when I was a kid. That thing to me was better than C-3PO in Star Wars. So then you texted me a couple days later and was like, hey, look what showed up in the mail. So no, I absolutely think you should review it. Yeah,
okay. So this is, I said this one other place, where I have posted this to great reception everywhere. Even my wife, who generally, most of my collectibles, the nice ones, she's like, oh, that's very nice, but doesn't care. But when she saw this, she took a picture and sent it to her sister. And they are not nearly the nerds we are. Because everybody fucking knows Bubo if you're our age. Everybody knows Bubo. Bubo is the mechanical owl who becomes basically the main companion of Perseus in the original 1982, I believe, Clash of the Titans film, starring, don't tell me, Harry Hamlin. And so he is a gift from one of the gods, among many, that Perseus gets. A shield, a sword, a helmet, and Bubo, and then he goes and gets Pegasus. But Pegasus is not bestowed upon him. He frees Pegasus, who then becomes his mount. Yeah. Yes, but that's not a gift from the gods. He goes and frees. So you have to be very specific, or at least I am, because these things do matter.
Yeah.
Because that would make Pegasus his property, and Pegasus is treated as the thing that it is, which is this amazing creature that is not meant to be harnessed.
He's definitely not anyone's property.
Right.
Yeah.
So Bubo is a silver and gold mechanical owl with red jewel eyes who is delightful in a way that many modern films try to do, Baby Grogu.
The closest thing
badly
to it's Bebo or Bubu?
Bubo. No, it's Bubo. Bubo.
Bubo. One of the closest things
Bubo.
to him was the little robot from Eliminators when I was a kid.
Sure.
I don't know why, but that thing was the closest I think anything else came.
No, it's essentially the same type of thing, but it's not nearly as awesome as Bubo is.
Oh, no, not at all.
Because Bubo was animated by Ray Harryhausen, who was a famous stop-motion animator who is responsible for many of the great creatures of older films. Many documentaries made, had a long, prestigious life making stop-motion creatures, creature effects. He made Medusa in Clash of the Titans, which is an equally awesome creation. Probably the thing that somebody says Medusa, first thing I think of, Clash of the Titans. Immediately. Right away, I see that thing where that's the best sequence in the whole movie. People say the Kraken. No. It's the room with Medusa.
Yeah.
That's the best. I mean, it's just amazing. If you've never seen it, or if, I'm sorry to say, you've only seen the modern remake, which is garbage, watch the original. Watch the original. It's got it all. It's fantastic. But anyway, Sideshow, in a lot of cases, is very similar to Kickstarter for me. In that, I'll order something with a perceived release time, which almost never is made.
Never. It's never that. You have to.
It's never made, or it gets canceled, like the oh god, why am I forgetting his name? Bateau figure that I ordered got canceled.
The Hot Toys?
Yeah, canceled.
Oh, that's a shame.
And as far as I could tell, no plans to. I don't know what happened, but apparently it's just gone. I think it's because it was based on the 2045 anime, and that did not do well, so maybe they thought it wouldn't sell. But I had paid that thing off in one shot, and I got a thing that said, nope, canceled, and they just refunded all the money. So, which is a shame, because I liked it. Even though it wasn't necessarily my favorite version of him, I would take the Innocence version with the dog. But I still liked it. It was still Bateau. But, so, I'd forgotten about this thing. And when I got an email, and it said regarding Bubo, well, I went, oh, they canceled it. Because it's been so long. I mean, it has to have been, I want to say a year and a half. I'd have to go look, but it has to have been at least a year and a half, if not 2 years, that I'd ordered it. So I expected it to say, oh, it's canceled. And instead it said, it'll be there tomorrow. I went, Jesus.
Oh, that's weird.
And so
it'll be here
arrived,
tomorrow.
and it would have been, except that UPS lied about attempting delivery because they clearly loaded it onto the wrong truck. But whatever. It's fine. I knew it was coming. If you think I wasn't watching for that truck.
Oh, no, I'm sure you were.
Yeah. And it says delivery attempted. My ass. You didn't attempt shit. Get the fuck out of here. Yeah. You attempted to think I'm an idiot. I know what happened. Because immediately I went to Reddit, and that's what a lot of people who are former UPS drivers say. Oh, yeah, if it says that nobody showed up, it means they loaded on the wrong truck. Which, honestly, they should have just said that. Just say, delivery rescheduled due to, truck error. What am I going to do?
Truck error.
Human
incompetence.
But don't make it like you stopped here, rang the doorbell, which you fucking didn't, and then told me that I didn't answer the door when I was watching for this owl like a hawk, to use bird analogies. No. Wrong. I was here all day. Liar. No. Anyway, showed up the next day, and it's a life-size replica. So it's the size he was in the movie. It's just over, which is not tremendously big. It's not like the Two-Face statue or anything. But he's about a foot. And he's got this little rock that he stands on. He's put in there. And there's the weird part about the statue is the head moves, the wings move, which I'll never move them because I like him just sitting there. Or standing there, I should say. He's just going to stand there. And he's about 5 feet from me. He's actually standing in front of Stormbreaker, which is great because that's gold and he's partially gold. So it's wonderful pairing. Perfect place for him. It's like it was an empty spot waiting for him. So clearly, subconsciously, I knew he would arrive and had left a place for him while having forgotten that I even ordered it. But the regular edition is only with his wings spread out, which takes a lot more room up. Whereas the nicer version is with the wings down, which is what I'm used to, where he's just kind of standing there and blinking and looking around. So that's the one I got. That's the only bad part is I really think that the base version should be with the wings down, the kind of stoic look of him, not with the wings open, because it's a very awkward spacing if you don't have the room for it. So that's the only thing I would say is bad about it is you have to pay more for what I would say is the better version of the statue.
That, honestly, that's kind of apropos for a sideshow.
Yeah, it's a shame. I don't love that.
You are completely right about the time frames. I mean, whatever it is, add at least 6 months to it usually.
At least.
And as long as you're willing to wait, I mean, they still do such good work. I mean, I have that human scale Godzilla statue, which is the one that's like if Godzilla was the size of a person, right? It's the bust. And that thing is fantastic. I put hats on that thing.
And to be clear about it, I sort of like the fact that it takes so long because I forgot about it.
Yeah, you can't.
And it is like getting a bonus, which is why, if you can, pay it off right away. And then you don't even get a charge to remind you. It just shows up.
But you know what? But if you can't,
if you can, is what I'm saying. If you can,
because I got the what do you call it? I got the Ghost Rider statue.
The more expensive stuff's going to be tougher.
Yeah, I got the Ghost Rider statue, and I used their payment system. I thought it was a good payment system.
Well, I did that for Storm. I wasn't going to pay all that one.
And
so
honestly,
I'm not saying,
I had already pre-ordered that thing before I knew that it had lights. And then they were like, oh, by the way, this thing's going to light up. And I was like, even better. Yeah, that statue's fantastic. Yeah. The only statue I have of theirs that I'm not 100% cool with?
What's that?
I have a Thor statue of theirs that I really like. I like the statue. I like the pose. Yeah. But the face isn't good. Like, he does look, when you look dead on at him.
I'll tell you.
He's a bit cross-eyed.
That is sort of a consistent Thor problem. A lot of Thor statues make him look really dumb or
physically
weirdly non-human.
When you look at him from a distance, he looks great. It's the one where he's got the hammer in the air, and it looks like he's about to take flight. It's a great statue when you look at it from the proper position, stand away from it. But if you walk right up to it and you look at the face, he looks a bit cross-eyed.
Yeah.
As opposed to the Lady Thor statue, which I think for me is the greatest statue Sideshow has ever made.
That's very good. Now, as far as Bubo goes, in case anybody's looking, now I'm going to link to the one I would recommend people buy, because there is another version they've come out with, which is very similar as far as I can tell. It's the same company, and they don't call it the Gold Patina Edition, even though it looks basically the same to me. But the thing that really is the reason I would say I don't like it as much is it's him on a branch, as opposed to the one that I got, which is him on this nice solid stone base. And as far as I can tell, that's the only difference. So that may be the difference for you. But he's not overly heavy, but I don't know. The fact that thing sticks out, I mean, I'm sure it's solid, but there's something about it that doesn't look as regal as I think Bubo deserves. And from what I can see, it's not actually life size. Now, we're talking about literally 2 inches height difference as far as I can see. This is not... So you have choices, but I'm linking to the one that I think is the best one. However, you can order the one with the branch that's slightly smaller and save about $75. So, if you don't care, there is that one. I'm not judging that decision. It's still fucking Bubo. Whatever. You're still going to have a fucking rad mechanical owl in your presence. So whatever, you win. I'm just saying that for me, I like the rock. There's something about that rock that looks more of what I would expect from him than the branch. I'm sure that branch is from the movie, but out of context, the rock just kind of looks better. And I think the other thing is the base that the branch is on has some fake dirt and grass. And I don't think the grass looks all that. They should have just made it rock. So again, these are minor aesthetic differences. But if you don't need me to tell you who Bubo is, you're going to know right away whether you want him nearby you. Like I said, even my wife was blown away by this thing, because she knew exactly what it was, sent it to her. And like I said, I've posted in a couple places with the picture I sent you with the lighting and everything. And there are people who are like, wow. I'm like, yeah. And it doesn't light up. It doesn't do anything. But if you know who Bubo is, you know why it's awesome.
Yeah.
He just needs to stand there, and that's all he's doing.
Yeah.
No, he's great. Yeah, he's wonderful.
Honestly,
So,
it'd be
yes,
neat if he had like a little sound effect thing in it where you hit a button and he made a little.
I thought it was weird that the bass didn't have a button where he would just go. Boop, boop, beep, beep,
But I mean, that would cost.
He makes the clicking noise and all that stuff. It's real. That's the one thing.
It would just cost more money. That's all. That's the problem.
I mean, come on. You and I know though that's probably a $5 part. They easily could have put that into the bass with a speaker, because he's not. It's not like you have to give him lines. You literally just have to have him hoot and make that clicky mechanical noise he makes. 2 sounds on a little thing that you put in a Hallmark card.
Yeah, I know.
And you're done. Don't get me wrong. I don't care that he's silent. It's fine. He's great. I like that he's in the room with me. I just looked at him. He's great. So, yeah. I linked to it in the show notes. So you can go look at it. It may not be worth what it costs. It's not cheap. It's not as expensive as Sideshow can get now that they're getting into the, $5,000-$6,000 range on some of their shit.
Yeah, we're getting into the nerd memorabilia here. So, if you're that kind of nerd, right, which sometimes I am and sometimes you are, then it's fucking cool as shit. I'm glad that it's out there.
I'm going to say this. I feel that the cost is justified because in the box, I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what I was looking at first. There was this little package with something in it that looked like I couldn't tell what it was. And I finally figured out that they send you, which I think this is almost comically unnecessary. They send a pair of white gloves to handle him with. Now look.
Oh, that's funny.
It's very funny. I didn't even open it.
Yeah, that's cute.
Don't get me wrong. It's the thought that counts, but he's not of the type, he's not made of polished glass where smudges might show. So I'm like, okay, I thought it was a covering, like a hood. I was like, do you have a hood in the movie? I somehow missed this, or there's a cutscene where Perseus hoods him with a white veil? Because that's what I thought it was. Because I could tell it was cloth and it was white, but I've never been sent something that came with gloves before. That's what I expect with like Tiffany crystal type stuff, where you don't want to get a touch it. Or like a piece of electronics where literally the oils of your fingers could cause corrosion. It's a Bubo statue. So it comes with that. It comes with the wings. It's a very nice box. Very well packaged. I will say this thing probably could have been drop kicked into a small canyon and it would have been fine because it's got a lot of foam around it, which is good. Also, there's really not much about him that's delicate as he's packaged, which I think is smart.
Yeah, Sideshow does amazing shit with their packaging. I'll give you that.
They do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's another thing is some of the stuff I've been sent has parts that, not that they didn't package it well, but that a vibration probably could have broken like a leg or something just from the vibration of it. This thing you could probably hit the box with one of those mini sledgehammers pretty hard and it would probably be fine. I think it would absorb that and he would absorb it. So
let's not test it.
So I think it is. I think the value is there if you want Bubo. Anybody else? No, you look at it and go, yeah, that's ridiculous. And or if you don't know who he is, you either know this character and
if you don't know who he is, go watch that movie.
Yeah, he's awesome. He is a element of a bygone era where things like this would be in movies because they serve the narrative purpose and not because somebody was thinking of how to sell 5,000 toys of it.
He was a divine clockwork owl.
Yes. That again, I don't believe there were ever toys made of that film, so he wasn't put in there.
I don't. Oh, you know what? Sell toys. Actually, I will say this: when I was a kid, I had a Perseus action figure from Clash of the Titans. I did. I don't know if I never had it.
Looking up toys.
I had that.
Here we go. 1981. Sorry.
Hold on.
Okay. No, that's a custom Bubo. That doesn't count. There, I see it. No. I see vintage Clash of the Titans. Oh, wow. Look at that thing.
Hold on. Yes, I had that. Boy. And I had the horse, too.
Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah.
Oh, God. That makes me feel so old. Yeah, I had that fucking thing when I was a kid.
Yeah.
You know what's annoying? I only had him. Do you remember in Toys R Us when you were a kid, they had that Isle of Mysteries? There was always like
Yes.
The aisle of cars, and then there was the aisle of whatever was like new and popular, and then there was the aisle of like the bygone toys, right? And I used to love that aisle because I would end up with things like I had action figures from the Dune, the 80s Dune movie that they did, right? Like there was a lot of cool weird shit out there. So yeah, I had a Clash of the Titans Perseus figure. I had him for years, and then eventually one day I broke his head off and was very sad.
Well,
But you know what I don't see,
it looks like they only ever made... They made Perseus, Caliban, and... No, Perseus...
No, they made
soldiers,
2 troops, and then...
And a stone guy.
They made Karen, the Devil's Boatman.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And they made the Old Man.
Yeah,
but I do not see a Bubo.
No, I don't see any Bubos.
Oh,
I don't think they ever did.
Hold on. Is that real?
I saw one that was a custom-made one.
Oh,
that was made to look like
you're
an
right.
old one.
Custom figures,
they made it look like it was from the time. It's not.
Yeah, no, you know what? I don't think they ever did.
No, I don't think so.
Well, either way, yeah.
Oh, wait. Okay, wait. I'm sorry. Here is okay. Was it ever made? There was a catalog published. Proposed merchandising with a Bubo. Let me tell you something. I'm glad they didn't make it because it's not a good Bubo. He looks like he's melting. Yeah, there was a catalog put out that had a play set, like a Kraken, which, while silly looking, I kind of like. Here, I'll send this in the Zoom. So there was a proposed set of figures, but they only ever made the ones that you were talking about, from what I can find. But there's the catalog, and there is a Bubo with moving wings that is roughly life size. It looks like it's slightly smaller, but he looks sad and like he's been in the Florida sun for too long. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, but it does not appear that anything, even a prototype, was made of that.
Yeah. Well, either way, it's very cool looking, and I'm glad that you got it.
Yeah, I am too.
And I guess that said,
I think my wife's delight was about as much as mine, which is always a nice bonus when it comes to collectibles, because that's rare.
I don't think there's anything that I have collected that my wife finds amusement in.
No, her face lit up and she went, "Wow, that's awesome."
No, because I mean, like, we don't. Yeah, no, I doubt there's anything. I'm trying to think if there's anything my wife and I like. No, like
this is I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, she got me the Rocketeer statue I have, and she likes it as a statue, but does not have the same attachment to the Rocketeer I do.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And like the stuff she's gotten me, she appreciates the artistic creation of it. But Bubo's the first one where
my wife got me the Godzilla, and she got me the Godzilla because I remember that dream.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's what I was going to tell you about. I was going to tell you about my dream.
Wow, finally. All right,
yes.
Here we go.
My wife bought me the Godzilla because I had a dream about her becoming Godzilla and destroying New York City. So my wife, in my mind, is, her Hulk form is Godzilla. I think I told you about that. I was on her shoulder telling her that she...
Oh, no, you told me. I remember this. You told me the entire story of that Godzilla statue. Yes, you did.
It's hilarious. And so she bought it for me, and it's a big joke that, I had dreamt about her and she was Godzilla. No, I had a dream last night, and I wanted to share it because it was fucking weird. The long and short of it is that I had a dream that for some reason my wife and I were living at my mother's house. Like, my mother wasn't there. It was like our family had moved to my mother's house, and we had just moved in, and I had hurt my wrist somehow really badly, so I couldn't carry anything. And my wife had she had gotten friends of hers to help her move furniture around. So there were all these women around the house moving furniture, and I felt bad. And there was a children's party across the street, and there was a magician, but a very Lord of the Rings looking magician, and he saw what was going on, and there was already an absurdity to the dream. My wife kept opening boxes, and there was weird shit in them that I didn't think we owned. She had I opened a box and there was a hand bike machine. You know what those are? The standing machines where you rotate the stuff with your arms. Either way,
I've seen them.
There was weird shit coming out of these boxes. And this magician from across the street was like, "Oh, are you guys moving stuff? Can I help?" And my wife was like, "Sure." And I was like, "Okay, that's weird that the child, the party magician from across the street decided to come help you, whatever." And then I went about doing whatever I was doing in the house. And then the next thing I knew, there was several different wizard-dressed people, and they were literally changing the house. My wife had discovered that they were actual wizards, and he had invited his wizard friends over, and they were doing magical renovations to the house. Because they were like, oh, we could just wave a wand, and suddenly, there was like extra rooms growing out the side of the house. And the wizards were giving me shit because I was injured and could not help. And so, like, as they were helping my wife, they were like just like giving me all this guff. One of them cast blindness on me, and it felt like I was wearing sunglasses indoor, and I kept bumping into furniture. And I was like, hey, what, you fuckers. And it was just this really weird, surreal dream I had where wizards were doing construction on my house with wands and shit. And the end of the dream was that I got so angry at these fucking wizards that I apparently found my own magical abilities and renovated the entire yard in one single swoop. I just suddenly was like, poof! And the whole yard was like a magical garden that I had done. And then I woke up and was like, fuck those wizards. Those are my first thoughts this morning. I woke up and I thought, fuck those wizards. And it was funny too, because later in the day, and I have a hurt wrist right now. I think that was why I was dreaming about it. And my wife and I went to the hardware store today, and at one point I had told her about the dream, and she thought it was hilarious. We were at a hardware store, and I went to pick something up with her, and my wrist hurt, and I was like, ow! And she's like, are you okay? And I was like, I'm fine. Fuck those wizards. So I wanted to share that with you because I thought it was amusing. Oh man, contractor wizards, bunch of assholes.
They often are.
Yeah. So, anyway, that's all I got for you.
Well, then, I don't have anything either. Therefore, it is time to play our little jingle.
Just give me the essence of the thing, the juice, you know.
Thanks for killing my mom. Okay, no problem.
See, white girls bore me.
You can eat shit and die, Colonel.
I do want you to come.
It don't make no sense. No. It's Italian.
Who the fuck are you?
Right. So, we watched another pair of Italian films. I don't really know if the review order makes any difference, so we'll just go chronologically. The first one is a movie I've heard about for a long time, and it was only, I'm trying to see when they finally cleaned it up, because for a long time, it was only, you could only see it in kind of bad VHS copies of it.
So there wasn't any good copies of it.
No, and I looked at a couple, I don't know, I'm trying to remember when they remastered it. A while ago, I had kind of looked around, and there were some really crappy versions of it that I just don't think, I think if we'd watched a crappy version of this, release date 2025, so they only really remastered it within the last couple of years. I see 2025 as the Arrow video version. But, I had read that this movie was a heavily atmospheric film. So those I like to see in the best version possible because I don't know whether sound's going to be a big deal, so crappy sound can ruin things. If the visuals are so muddy, our detail's going to be lost, which I think in a movie like this, not seeing it in a nice version would probably take away from it. So I waited till there was a good version available, and we watched The House with Laughing Windows from 1976, which is often marketed and described as a giallo. That may technically be true in terms of it being of that type, but anybody who likes the more like slasher, like the movies that the movie we're going to talk about next is more of what I consider a giallo, which is a lot of over the top deaths, a lot of like blood, color, splatter, wild music type of thing. That's not what this is. This is far more of I kept thinking of The Wicker Man watching this, where somebody comes to a small isolated village, which is either all in on what's happening or is just used to being a weird little village and you're not really sure, and gets embroiled in something and is trying to figure out what it is. Now, it's not, The Wicker Man is way farther into heavy shit than this movie is. It's not The Wicker Man. But there's not a lot of jump scares. There's not a lot of body count, honestly, not really, compared to some other movies we've seen. And a lot of the movie's function is building this sense of, was that just the wind or is somebody there? And in some movies, that can get very tiresome. I never got tired of it in this one. I thought the movie was very good at having this character who wasn't completely fearless, but also wasn't terrified of everything, and was curious enough to keep poking around into things that continued to be inexplicable right up until the last, 10 minutes or so. But that makes sense. And the movie actually does clue you into them as it goes along, for the most part. So I liked it quite a bit, but it is definitely not.
You've got to name the movie now.
I did. I named it House with Laughing Windows, 1976.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Jesus, I thought we were talking about Tenebrae. Sorry.
No, that's why I said the next movie is the one that's what I would consider a classic slasher.
That's why I was waiting to hear it, and then I was like, oh, fuck, no, you said the name, House of Laughing Windows, yeah.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. I normally wouldn't like a movie like this, I think. I don't think I'd watch this movie again, because you're far more into visual atmosphere than I am. I did enjoy this movie. I thought it was a good mystery, because like I said, I watch a lot of mystery shows and a lot of mystery stuff with my wife, so like my brain is kind of always geared of late to trying to figure out who the killer is and stuff like that. And I'll admit for this that I didn't know. I don't think either of us knew till very near the end. Like we knew there's basically two killers, and we knew who one of them was. We were pretty sure, but we didn't know who the other one was. And that's
holy shit! I didn't even put together that both movies have two killers till just this second.
Oh yeah, there's your theme.
That was not intentional. Jesus, I keep doing this. Maybe I do it intentionally, subconsciously. I didn't realize I put two movies together that have dual killers.
Yeah,
fuck me. I didn't even.
So we didn't know. We knew who one of the killers most likely was, but we knew who the second killer was. And I will say this: a few comedic things with this movie. For an Italian movie, I expected there to be far more nudity, and the only nudity you get in this is a fake boob on a man, which when it gets you at the end there, you're like, oh. Otherwise, the biggest pair of underwear I have ever seen on a woman.
Well, that's true. However, I should stipulate, I should point out, I don't know whether that individual is not a woman, because the movie we watched after this, we thought we saw a woman. And in fact, it's a trans actor. So for all I know,
yeah, that was a weird spot.
Who knows?
Yeah. So but I did enjoy this because,
to your point, the intent of the reveal is to make you think that the guy was secretly a woman.
Yeah.
But it just might have been a very mannish woman, and they
even
assuming.
set that up because early on, someone sees a photo of two people who could potentially be the killers, and the one guy says, "God, that's the ugliest woman I've ever seen."
Well, yeah, but that doesn't mean that the priest wasn't a woman. We really just don't know.
No, well, you mean in real life that the actor wasn't a woman?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Oh,
There's
yeah,
just
it's a
no way to know that.
possibility, yeah.
So, yeah.
But I actually did. I enjoy this movie quite a bit because I didn't know what was going on, and I'm still not entirely clear as to why the fuck they were doing it. Did they really think that they were somehow going to bring their brother back, or that he was enjoying it from the afterlife? Like, but yeah, this movie does this movie is, it doesn't hold any punches. It does have that one thing I hate. This is one pet peeve I have, is one, and everybody does this, where somebody calls somebody and they're like, "Oh my God, I'm going to tell you this thing. I'm going to tell you the whole story. I'll wait till I see you," and then they die. Right?
Yeah.
Or I'm going to give you a cryptic hint. I'll tell you later, and then there's a message of it. Like, we're watching something else that just fucking did that as well, and it drives me crazy because I'm like, motherfucker, this movie would be a lot shorter if you just fucking told them. Anyway, so that is a pet peeve of mine. It pops up in a lot of movies and shows. They love to use it. It's like a well-known device. And then the person who calls you gets killed or disappears, right? But that said, yeah, it's a weird little town. You're not sure, like, how much of the town's weirdness gets into it, or how much is just the fact that it's a weird town. Like, I through almost towards the end of the movie, I didn't know if the town was in on it in some way, or if they just didn't want to pay attention, or if they just thought he was fucking crazy. You know? But yeah, it is weird. Like, he goes to this little Italian town, he's there to renovate this painting, and gets very involved in who the painter was, and then he starts to uncover things, and yeah, and it's sad because, like, the girl that he was with, you suspect her at one point, but then, you know, she ends up getting killed, and I felt bad about that. That, like, and not just that, like, this movie has that abrupt ending. I think the ending for this is what screwed me up in the ending for the other movie, because in the other movie they did like the fake end, and then I was kind of like, wait a minute, this is not an Italian movie, because Italian movies end like right after, like they like to end like right at the moment that the story concludes, right? So in this movie, the killer is revealed, and the killers are going to kill the main character, and you're like, oh no, and you hear a police siren in the distance, and then the movie ends. And you're kind of sitting there going, so, did the police save him? Is the town in on it? Is he going to die? What's going to happen? And
okay, so yeah. I was curious about this too, because I wasn't sure either, but I kind of looked around, and the general consensus, which now makes much more sense to me, is that there is a very direct clue. Because you and I were talking about, well, is the town in on it?
Yeah.
Or is this a case, and I was, obviously when I do my short reviews, I don't try to spoil things, so I was very vague on it, because I wanted to wanted people to be thinking about it, but I didn't want to tell it. I didn't want to say anything.
Yeah.
So I said, this is one of those cases where you're not really sure if the town's in on it, or if they're just used to being a weird little town that does things like Twin Peaks. Things in Twin Peaks seem normal to people in Twin Peaks, but won't be to an outsider. But based on, there is something that I did think was odd, but I misinterpreted it when we watched the movie, which is when there's a point where Stefano, the guy, the painter who's brought in to finish this fresco, brings the cops out because he was shown a bunch of buried body parts by another character. And he brings the cops out to find them, and they dig, and they say they didn't find anything. And then they're like, oh, the town drunk told you? That's why you're not the first person to be taken in by his stories. Let's go. And so based on that, I thought, okay, the town's not in on it, because why would the cops dig this up and not find anything? Obviously, whoever's responsible moved the body parts. But in that scene, you do see a shot of a jawbone.
Oh, at the last minute.
There.
Yeah, at the last minute.
And what people are saying is, yeah, they were feigning not finding the body parts. They were digging, and just kind of recovering them up, and that's the jawbone.
So you
and
think
so when the sirens
are
are coming at the end, that's because the cops are coming to get his body after he's dead or finish killing him. Oh, and there are parts where the town people seem to know something's going on.
When he's like bleeding and he's trying to get someone's attention, nobody will open the doors for him.
Right. Well,
And I don't know if that's
that
because
could be a
they're-
lot of things.
If they're like
you know.
afraid of a screaming person in the middle of the night, or
Right, sure.
if it's
Yeah.
because, they're
But
on
the
it.
other big giveaway is he goes to talk to a local store owner about this chemical that he sells, and the local rapist guy comes by with a canister to have filled up, and the storekeeper warns him off
Yeah.
and like gives him a look. And I thought that was odd, but I didn't know if that was this. But then when you put it all together, the idea is, yes, the whole town's in on this, that they are all in on this plot by the sisters to reanimate their brother through the sacrificing of bodies, because he is, they believe, the reincarnation of the saint, and therefore it would bless the town. So that's what they're trying to do, is good fortune for the town through sacrifice. So I guess it is kind of the Wicker Man now that I say that. So yeah, I guess it's closer to the Wicker Man than I thought.
Yeah.
Regardless.
And that's I won't watch it again, because I think the problem for me is I hate No Way Out stories. I hate stories where everything is just fucked, and he is kind of fucked. Like, he very nearly gets out, but he's just too fucking curious to leave.
Well, I think for me, I agree I would not watch this again. Not because I didn't enjoy it, but because the girl gets killed and brutalized and killed, which is horrible. I mean, and the only reason that they kill the rapist is because he ruined their plans, not because they had a problem with him raping the woman. But that's because he comes in and the woman's been killed after this guy has raped her, which I never like in any movie, and I didn't know that was in here. You don't see it, fortunately, very much. Like, it cuts before we see that much of it, but it still happened.
Yeah.
And as you said, the main character gets killed, which
Well, we don't know,
I probably
really.
wouldn't care.
No, that's
Well,
the thing.
I
We
mean,
don't really
now
know
that
for
now that
sure.
now that I've read what I've read, it's hard for me to think that he's not dead. But regardless, I think the movie is very good. I actually liked it the more I thought about it, because it was doing something unexpected, which is a lot of atmospheric layering. There's just these shots where he looks up and a window blows open and you can't see what's inside. And you really don't know whether it is because it's an old house that he's staying in with this weird old woman, and is it the wind or is somebody watching him? There's points where you see somebody that's in the house that you don't know who it is, which we do know by the end. But there's other parts where a door's just open and then nothing happens. It's just an empty room. Or he walks in and there's like this bag swinging in the corner. And all we see is a bag swinging in the corner, but it's just sinister. And you don't know why the bag is swinging in the corner. Did somebody push it, or is it the wind? And when it's done poorly, that gets really tired and stupid. But if you do it well, it does make everything become a question mark. Okay, is this us seeing things from his perspective and it's incorrect, or is something happening here? And that stuff is interesting, and I think this movie does a very good job of it. It's a very well-made mystery film in that sense. But yeah, it's a bummer ending. So I probably wouldn't rewatch it, but I would recommend it to people.
Yeah, I mean, and I liked the lead. I thought he was a cool guy. I was fascinated by the fact that he wasn't afraid, that he was willing to keep going, that he was, he needed to know what had happened, especially to his friend. And the thing is, I don't think the town was necessarily in it. Like, I thought that
I'm not
for a
going to
long
say everybody was,
No, I
but
know that, but,
definitely
like,
there was a group of people.
I felt like it's interpretive. I think that the town didn't like the idea that something horrible was happening in the town, and they didn't believe it. And at the end, there was a question of were the cops going to get there in time to save him, and realize that, oh shit, our priest is a woman and a murderer, or yeah. But then, I mean, that's almost a good thing that a movie like this can have interpretation, that they were just arbitrary enough for some of the things they did that you were like, okay, it could be that. I don't know. I kind of like that. So in that respect, that's pretty good that they were able to play it both ways.
That's why I would recommend that. I would recommend the movie to people because I think it's a very well-made atmospheric mystery. I do like the way it unfolds.
Yeah,
but
it is
like you, yeah, it's, you have to know that going into it, is that it doesn't, again, we don't see this for certain, except we do know the woman's dead, but we don't know that the main character actually dies, although
and she
sure
dies, and she dies horribly.
Yeah.
Right when they're about, and the thing is, like, right when they're about to get out too, and I think that's the other thing that really drives me nuts.
Yes.
Which is like,
yeah,
they were about to get out of there, and then,
yep,
everything goes wrong. Everything goes sideways.
Yep. So,
but yeah,
that's what I mean about. I would actually recommend it. I think it's one of the better made Italian films we've watched in terms of what it's trying to do. And I understand why it has a very good reputation. I would not call it a giallo, though. I still don't like using that term for it, because most people, when they think of a giallo, are going to think of Deep Red, or the next one we're going to talk about, Tenebrae. They're going to think of that, the big splashy killer film. That's not this. This is a very slow burn.
Honestly, so much of this movie is him wondering if something is even. I mean, there are murders, but you come at them after the fact, and he's trying to figure out what it is. I mean, you don't realize it, because honestly, you encounter the killers throughout the movie.
Yeah.
But otherwise, you don't actually experience. He does not feel like he is necessarily under a direct threat for much of the movie.
Right.
So.
And I really don't know that he would have been if he just completed it's hard to say.
Yeah, if he just done the job and left.
Right, if he hadn't poked around, then he may have actually been able to do the restoration and leave. There's no reason to think that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, but then my question is, why would they destroy their own restoration then? Or is that really why they killed the rapist? Because the rapist destroyed the restoration.
That's what I think must be the case. Well, I think it's part of it. I think that there's an element of that where, that guy seemed like he was just barely on track with what was going on. Like, he was clearly slightly off his rocker. I said at one point, I'm not sure if they're trying to play him as having a mental issue or if he's just a loose cannon.
Yeah.
And I think the answer is yes. So, that's the problem. The problem often in these stories, this is such a weird association, but I do think it. There was a point in the movie where I looked at that guy who I can't remember what his name was, but crazy guy. And I thought, oh, this is Waingro from Heat. This is a guy that you get to work for you, and then he does something nuts or a couple things, and you realize, liability.
Yeah, we gotta get rid of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, and you just don't know how much damage he'll do. So
yeah. And that's
hard to say.
Thing. That he's good as long as you've got him under control. But as soon as he's out of control, then you're like, okay, get rid of this guy.
And you kind of have to have that, because otherwise you don't have a movie. If their plan works perfectly, it's a boring movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or if he does the thing and gets paid and leaves town happily, you got no movie.
But listen, they were fairly unhinged as well. I mean, that's the thing, is that, they're...
well, I mean, I'll just say this as a general statement, that generally, often, hardcore religious zealotry does not go to good places, in whatever form it takes. I feel fairly secure saying that as a general stereotype, if you will. So, yeah. But I agree with you. Probably not a movie I would ever really want to revisit, because it's not a very happy movie in the end, literally. But I'm glad I watched it. It was well made. And I see why people have talked about it.
I think it was way better than I thought it was going to be, period. And I don't regret having seen it in any way, shape, or form. I am glad I saw it. It was an interesting experience. It's not one that I need to revisit necessarily. And I do worry that if we revisited this movie, you might catch mistakes. Because now that you know what the end product is, whereas when you don't know what the end product is, it's easier to kind of look around and be like, well, I don't know what's happening, I don't know where it's going. You know what I mean? Once you know the beginning,
I
and
would
the end,
probably be paying more attention to the story details as far as what they're kind of telegraphing.
Yeah.
But I agree. I think this is a good movie to have a good memory of and just leave it alone.
Exactly. Yes. Walk away.
And I'm fine with that. Not every movie that I celebrate do I need to revisit.
Yes.
But like I said, if you've never seen it and you're a fan of these Italian type films from this time period, I would say see it. It's well made, and it's a good movie to watch at least once. For some people, maybe it's worth revisiting. If you like downer endings, which some people do, then you might say, "Oh wow, this is great! Oh, awesome!" You know, psycho artist reincarnation story. Don't get enough of those.
I mean, the thing is, it's not necessarily like the downer ending is interpretive though, because if the cops are coming to save him,
well, not for the woman. It's not.
No, well, yeah. Well, she's
that's what I'm saying.
She's
that's
dead.
the roughest one.
Listen. He's lost the girl. That's that simple. And it's sad because they were going to leave.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It's still a downer ending, even if he gets out and he's just injured.
Yeah,
it's still a downer ending.
Yeah, like they were so close to getting out.
They were so close to getting out. Yeah.
Why did they not? What did he wanted to go see what the motorcyclist had to say, right? Isn't that what it was?
Didn't he tell her to stay put and she left?
Oh no, she was waiting for him to come back, and then he came back with the motorcycle.
And then the guy showed up. The guy showed up
and took her. Yeah, that's what it was.
That's what it was. She wasn't there. That's what it was.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
Yeah. So that part is still a bummer, no matter what. You know.
No. It wasn't bad.
Don't get me wrong. It seemed like a very free love town. He probably would have eventually gotten over it.
Well, yeah. If you want to get into that shit, yeah.
I mean, he beds the local school teacher within 2.2 seconds of seeing her.
Oh my god! And the best part about that is that his friend is like, "Hey, just so you know," he's like, "Everybody in town has slept with her," and he's like, "Okay," and then
to save sex.
And then the next thing you know, he's like, he's in bed with her. And I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's what kind of movie it is." Very cool.
Well, yeah. He basically is like, "Hey, she gets around, wear a condom," and then he's like, "All right, got it," and then then he's waking up in her room. So,
hey, you know what? He gets around for this movie.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. But the friend was giving good advice. If you're sleeping with everyone she slept with, if you don't practice safe sex, and this was right before AIDS, so you know what?
Friends don't let friends sleep with the town whore without protection.
Friends don't let friends make bad decisions without at least giving them all the facts they need to make an informed choice. We don't know for sure whether he actually listened to his friend or not, but the advice was given. So,
no, you don't, do you?
Good work by the friend on that.
Well, he tried.
And yet again, another movie we've watched where a little person shows up in a prominent role.
Oh,
which seems to be an Italian thing.
God, when the mayor shows up, he is something else, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's a real he's a real piece of work.
Yeah.
So no, and that's what I mean. Like, I understand why you like this movie because there is such a Twin Peaks-ish feel to it in that respect. Yeah. You know, where it's like, yeah, I mean, you know, she's the you have a little person as the mayor, and then you have like the crazy, you know, town teacher whore and the drunkard on the motorcycle, and you know the old lady that lives in the empty house, and and
then the reincarnation thing, the psycho artist, who went crazy, and it's all that, it's the Twin Peaks element, but also, as I said, I often see this described as a giallo, so I brought in the expectations of that. And kept waiting for it to go really off the rails in terms of the murders. And instead, it was a slow burn mystery.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Which I say as a positive, but not what I expected. But that's good. Sometimes it's good to not know exactly what you're getting. That's fine.
Yeah, and to not have a lead who was afraid. I think it's the other two. Is like he was not a fearful lead. He was pretty much going into dark rooms through most of the movie. I don't think he really gets worried until like the very end, where he gets right before he gets stabbed. He starts You know what
Yeah.
it is? The second he sees his girlfriend dead, that's
I
when
was
he's
about.
like,
Well, I was going to say when she's missing, I think is when he
Yeah.
starts to have a problem.
when he's like,
And
oh,
then once he
fuck,
sees her,
yeah.
he knows it's all over.
Yeah, but beyond that point, he's not afraid. He's very on top of things. He's like moving forward, trying to figure out what it is. Yeah. So, no, it's fun. It's fun.
Yep. So subconsciously, apparently, I decided to have another movie with dual killers because I didn't put that together till now. And I said, all right, well, I had another movie planned, but I wanted to keep it somewhat thematically linked. So I figured, okay, we'll stick to Italian and we'll stick to slashers. And this is one of the movies that a lot of people think it is often in the top 3 of Argento's films, depending on what particular story elements and what type of movie you want, because we watched 1982's Tenebrae, which was Dario Argento's return to non-supernatural murder film, slasher film, whatever, because he'd done Suspiria and Inferno, and I guess I've read some stuff that he felt like other people were imitating his style and he wanted to show he could still do it. And so he decided to make a straightforward, in terms of no supernatural elements, a grounded, quote unquote, whatever goblin's involved in the soundtrack. I don't know how grounded anything is, but a grounded slasher film again. And so he made Tenebrae, which there are people who think this is his best film. I can understand why. I don't necessarily think it's his best film. I think I still stick with Deep Red, but
I'm torn.
It's good.
I'm torn on this movie. I don't dislike it.
Okay.
But I think that the killer, I have issues with the second killer. We're doing spoilers here. So the fact that the protagonist... Now, I might not have as many issues with this if we hadn't just seen another movie where the writer was the killer. But didn't I say to you, I think I said to you,
You did, yeah.
early on in the movie, this isn't another movie where the writer's the killer, right? And you're like,
Yeah.
So,
Yes and no?
Yeah, I know. So my issue, I don't mind the guy as a killer. But it's the transition. It's that you didn't give me... I don't have issue with the fact that the other guy is a copycat killer and then the real killer kills him, right? But there's no history. So supposedly, like, was he always a killer? Was he killing people in the United States? Was he been a serial killer this whole time? Did he just start killing people because he realized that this guy was killing people? Like, there's a lot of questions I have that don't really get explained in this movie. And the lead comes off as such a nice guy for most of the movie. He's nice. He's curious to find who the killer is. He's not necessarily afraid. He's a bit of a lech, but like you never actually see him lech on anybody. And it's not that I can't accept the fact that he's the killer. It's more so the fact that I need more. I need something. Because sometimes suddenly having your protagonist be the killer can be a real interesting left turn. We're like, oh my god, he was the killer all along. And then sometimes it comes off like we didn't have any ideas, so we decided that he was the killer all along. And I do get this feeling that when he suddenly is the killer, it's like it just comes out of nowhere for me. And like,
well,
I
will
more...
say they do point out that he has killed people before, but that they could never prove it. If you remember, the cop when he's talking
in Maine,
to
they say he killed the girl in Maine.
Well,
right?
that there was a suspicious death.
Yeah, but I guess the thing is that there was a suspicious death when he was like in his 20s. Well, this guy's in his fucking like 50s at this point, and he suddenly goes on a murder spree. Like, I guess that's my. It just there's a little bit of the math doesn't add up for me. Now, that said, I did enjoy the movie. I did enjoy the mystery of it, what was going on. I thought the effects on the kills were very well done. The only issue I have with this movie is that little bit, because when he goes fucking apeshit at the end, I mean, he goes fully fucking apeshit, and if it's supposed to be communicated that he's had a psychological break, like, I guess I just wanted it's the whole foreshadowing thing. I wanted some kind of foreshadowing earlier in the movie that he was more unstable than we thought he was. You know, because he doesn't seem unstable at all. He seems very with it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just that's the thing. It's like he just comes off too good, and then all of a sudden he's got to put everybody in the ground. Like, he goes after fucking everybody at the end of the movie. You know, and like,
yeah, I think the problem is that what the movie doesn't clearly explain is that he actually was not killing anybody until the copycat guy started doing it, and it brought the repressed memories up, and that's why you're seeing it. So that's the idea, is that the copycat murders have brought his repressed memories back to the forefront. But the movie tries to do that purely visually, and doesn't do a good enough job explaining that explicitly.
That was never really communicated to me. I just saw the memories were the murderer thinking about what had made him into a murderer. You know, and because I didn't know who the murderer was at that point, it kind of made, you know, I knew that it was the murderer thinking it, but I didn't know, you know, whose thoughts they were necessarily.
Yeah, and that's where the cop saying it, what there should have been was, because they keep showing this close-up of, because I don't disagree that, and this is not uncommon in these films, where they just expect you to kind of connect certain dots, even if they themselves have not necessarily put all the bricks into the ground for the path you're walking.
Yeah.
They kind of just go, all right, come on, this has to be it.
If at the end he had turned around and he had just killed his ex-wife and the agent, and he said, you know what, I wanted to do, and there had been something in there where he said, you know, I wanted to do it, I felt like they betrayed me, and when I realized there was another killer there, I was like, it was the perfect opportunity to get rid of them. But I mean, he fucking buries everybody. He goes after the kid assistant. He tries to kill fucking everybody at the end. Yeah. and it's the chance encounter with abstract art that stops his ass, which is hilarious. And I think it's that level of psychotic switchover where it's like there's no real explanation for it. I mean, I know he killed a girl when he was younger, and he got away with it, and there was some question as to whether, you know. But I either needed a little bit more of instability with him, where you were like, you know, he can. Someone says to me like, well, you know, he can't fly off the handle now and then in extreme cases or some shit like that. Or when he got caught, he basically said, I just wanted to kill them because they betrayed me, right, or something like that. But it's the fact that when he goes, I mean, he fucking goes.
Yeah.
And that feels like it just feels unwarranted to like how he is the rest of the movie.
Well, and this is an interesting part about this thing about this movie, because we just said that with with Laughing Windows, neither of us would want to revisit that because we know what happened and it's a bummer, right? Yeah. Whereas this movie, because one of the reasons that a lot of critics in particular really love this movie is because there's so much dualism in it, where characters are reflections of themselves. The two killers, even the thing that you picked up on, which was when the cop is standing there and you're like, I can see somebody's ear behind him. And when he bends down, right, because what was happening was that until his psychotic break was triggered, he was acting as the investigator. Because remember, I said there's themes in these Italian movies. Creatives are killers, and cops are incompetent. That's like the theme of a lot of these movies for some reason. But there's all this stuff where Neil, the writer, was acting as an investigator, and he was investigating somebody copying his own killings. And then once the break happens, then he's the killer, and now the cop is actually catching him. He figures it out. So it's like inversions. And the idea that the copycat uses a razor and is doing like very clean clinical kills, whereas Neil, the writer, who's acting out of basically a sexual humiliation, passion response or whatever, is burying axes in people very brutally.
Oh yeah, I mean he's
so even their styles are very different because they're operating from different places. One is copying.
Well, and not just that. I think
the
first guy even said he had a thing about sexual deviance. He hated sexual deviance.
Yes, morality.
Yeah. So like for him, it was like we're gonna punish them. We're gonna punish them, and that's why he went after all kinds of as he put it, deviant women. You know? And I get all that. Like I said, I like the movie. It's just this one thing that I have an issue with, which is that switch.
Oh no, I don't disagree, but I wonder now if you were to watch it again, knowing if the movie would work better for you. I don't know, because when you ask me questions in these movies, I won't lie to you, but I also don't want to reveal things because
I'm terrible in that way. Because I'll just start being
fine.
like, "Hey, is this? Is this that? Is it the killer? Is this thing?"
Yeah, the interesting part about a lot of these.
It's bad when you've seen something before me and you're seeing it again because I know you know answers, and I'll get lost on something and be like, "Wait a minute, what am I missing here?" Because like we're watching a series right now that Joe's seen before, that's got a lot of twists and turns, and I regularly go, "Is this person doing this? Is this that? Is this other thing?" And I can hear you trying so hard to give me like a diplomatic answer.
Yeah. Well, at this point, though, now that everything's been laid out, I'm actually fine with you knowing everything because I want to make sure I don't miss anything in the details. We're not going to talk about it yet because we still have to get through it. But this gets into very complicated territory because there's time travel involved. So I was like, all right, I don't mind having a second person who's more versed in this storytelling stuff, making sure I'm not missing something because boy, does it get complicated. But back to Tenebrae, yeah, the one of the things about Italian films that I have learned to love, even if I know that sometimes it won't work for everybody, is there are times where their late story reveals are very good. And there's times where they're impactful but confusing. And I don't think it's always planned. I think there are times where...
that's...
No, I agree with you. I understand that hang up. And I don't think it's because... I think they expect you to bring something in without accounting for the fact that the storytelling is not perhaps properly spooling that along. So, you're right. You watch the movie, and the first half of the movie, more or less, about the halfway point is where it shifts. The first half of the movie... And maybe this is good that we're telling people this, because sometimes when we spoil things, maybe people don't want to spoil, but in the Friday shows we do this. So here's the way to watch this if you've never seen it. There's two killers. One is the actual killer, the writer, and the other is a copycat killer. The first half of the movie is the copycat killer.
And a Doberman.
That's the reason.
Remember that. It's the...
The Doberman is the actual third killer.
That's probably the scariest sequence in this goddamn movie, too.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, I maintain that woman brought it upon herself in large part.
Who fucks with a Doberman? She should have just...
Actually,
yeah.
Before we go on, as a public service announcement...
Don't fuck with
to
Dobermans.
anyone who is not familiar with dogs. No, because there are dogs that unfairly get painted. Like, there is no such thing as a bad dog. Dogs are trained in their behavior, right? So let's acknowledge it up front.
Yeah.
However, in general, not even just Dobermans, but in general, gang, even if there's a large fence that separates you from an animal, and you could probably apply this to almost any animal, if this animal is not threatening towards you, don't antagonize an animal that you don't have familiarity with. And I would say even if you do. But especially, there is a reason that Dobermans are a preferred guard dog, similar to German Shepherds. You know what? This can go for German Shepherds too. If you come up to a fence and a Doberman and or German Shepherd jumps biting at the fence, walk away. Keep walking. Don't do anything. Walk swiftly, but don't run. Walk steady, consistently. Keep your ears open in case you start hearing something behind you, but walk. Don't look back, because don't look dogs in the eye that are aggressive either. That's something I think a lot of people aren't aware of. Do not look dogs in the eye if they're acting aggressively. Just move away to make yourself not a threat. Don't start yelling at the dog and hitting it the fence with a stick, lest you want to be chewed up by that animal. Just a general public service announcement. But anyway, so yeah, the first half of the film, outside of the wild card dog killer, which would have killed her had she not gotten inside. Unfortunately, she went inside of the killer's lair, but that's a separate problem. Yeah, the first half is the copycat, and that's denoted by the razor. And then at about the midway point, the copycat is erased, and suddenly it's over to the axe, which is the writer. And again, this is this dualist nature thing, which I'm just going to tell you right now, because why lie about it? The first time I saw this, I didn't pick any of that shit up about dualism. I just thought it was a fucking bitchin' movie. And then I read about it, and then some of the shots that otherwise just seemed really arty and interesting, like where the cop bends down and the guy's behind him, or the copycat killer thing, that stuff all made the movie better. So I understand why people put this very high in the Argento list, because I think it is intentionally made. I'm not going to say it's his best storytelling effort. I would say as far as actual storytelling, the reason I think I place Deep Red above this one is I think Deep Red tells the story better. Like, it lays out right in that opening that there's this murder of where a young kid was present, and that's what it ends up being in the end. So the thing with the mother and the son's kind of that all, I think Deep Red is his best straightforward slasher film in terms of storytelling and artistry. I think that's the best one. The only thing that's weird about Deep Red is it throws this really strange psychic curveball in for a second that doesn't seem to ever actually really pay off. There's a psychic who does appear to be psychic, but then she's dead, and that doesn't matter anymore, and nobody else is psychic.
Oh, yeah, and the fucking bicycle puppet thing in the room. I mean, that's
that's
Deep
just
Red,
creepy,
right?
And it's great.
All right,
yeah, that's Deep Red. Yep. Yeah, that's it. That's the one. Yeah. Yeah. So if I was going to pick his non-supernatural stuff and say the best one, I think Deep Red is a better told story narratively than Tenebrae. However, Tenebrae has some of the most wonderful visuals he ever did. Another amazing Goblin score, very similar to Suspiria, probably as memorable as Suspiria is. And there's things like the crane shot, which is, again, a bygone way of doing film.
An incredible shot in any movie.
Yes.
Absolutely. That
yes.
and that's the thing. So we're arguing about this one the switchover, right? Which story-wise is important to me. But let's take a step back.
And I agree,
because,
and I don't want to downplay that because I do think a lot of people probably, if they don't know, might be confused.
Yeah, let's take a step back because you know what?
I want to point this out real quick before I forget. When we watched this, you at first thought that a different character said something when he was murdered. You thought the killer said.
I thought the killer said I did it. Yeah, right. I didn't realize. Yeah,
and see. So I do think this is one of those cases where knowing the story will help you when you watch it again, meaning anybody now. Knowing what we're saying will probably improve the movie because now you aren't going to be as confused. So I think it will improve the movie. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so the thing is, like, I attacked this movie story-wise the same way I attacked, Rebel Moon 2, whatever. So now let's go the other way and say, why is it worth watching, right? And I mean, listen, the director work is top notch here. That crane shot where he goes all the way around the house from basically one victim to the next to the killer is a beautiful shot. It would have been a beautiful shot in any movie that it was in, right? And beyond that, I mean, it is a good mystery, and I understand what he was trying to do. Here's the thing, we were just talking about in House of Laughing Windows how we didn't know who the killer was. Well, what better way to hide the killer than to make it the protagonist? Right? Not only that, but have two killers. I mean, that's kind of the thing with House of Laughing Windows. We kind of were sure who one of them may have been, but we didn't know who the other one was till, the horrible tit reveal. We started to have an idea right before. But in Tenebrae, it's like I used process of elimination on this movie. And that's usually how I deal with mysteries and like murder mysteries and things like that. It's real easy in a TV show because you sit there and you go, it's got to be that guy, right? And with this movie, I used process of elimination. I didn't think it was the cop. The cop was too obvious. I did get to a point where I thought there was either something with the agent, it was something with the ex-wife, or something. And I did suspect the lead, but only because that other Italian movie had ruined it for me. Which is the other one that we watched with the girls, the killer, the another
Madness.
horror madness. Yeah, that movie set me up to be like, okay, in Italian slasher movies, the protagonist can be the villain, and that movie is the reason why I was like, oh, he's a horror writer. I was like, he's on the list. But that doesn't mean that it was poorly done. I felt that the switch over from sanity to madness for me was poorly done. But beyond that, no, it is clever to hide the killer in the protagonist, and to have two killers, and to have you know, and if anything, man, I mean, like, things I would have done differently in this movie is I would have had the, well, he wouldn't, because it's weird that he killed the killer, because it sounded like he wanted to use him to kill the people he wanted to kill. So I almost wondered if he would have, like, tried to keep him alive. Either way, the direction here is excellent. The actors used are good. The dubbing is funny, but that's nothing to do with the director. What's her name?
You?
Yeah, exactly. Who's the woman that you like? Who's always in the
Daria Nicolodi. Yeah, terrible voice for her.
They gave her such a weird American voice.
Yeah,
like I prefer her in Deep Red. She was in Deep Red, right?
Yes, she
Yeah.
was indeed in Deep Red. She was the wonderful woman with the awful car.
Yeah, I prefer her in Deep Red, and I agree with you. I think Deep Red is a better movie than this for me. But it is also a more conventional movie in that respect. There is one killer, and it is not the protagonist. So this is a far more experimental murder mystery. And other than what feels to me slightly mismanaged switchover from sanity to madness, I think it is a good movie. I think it is interesting. And if they had just handled that switchover, when that guy basically says, okay, and starts cleaning house, I mean, that's like that scene in Goodfellas where they fucking kill everybody. He really does go after everybody. And then honestly, the ending for me was, it wasn't ruined. Let me put that. The trick ending didn't work on me because we've watched so many of these now that I was sitting there going, why hasn't the movie ended? Oh, I get it, because it's not really over. The trick razor blade was very funny because when he pulls that thing out and slashes his own throat, I was like, oh my God, he killed himself. And then when the movie didn't end, I was like, okay, either she's the real killer or he's not dead. And then when they realized it's the fake, I thought that was genuinely amusing. And then he pops up and you're like, oh yeah, the cop's dead too. And the fact that he was even going to kill the assistant, who I thought he genuinely had affection for. And the fact that the only thing that stops him in the end is a piece of abstract art. I mean, there's got to be a metaphor in there that the writer-killer who's acting out his art is killed by abstract art that falls. I mean, there's got to be something there. There's a film class on that, at least.
Yeah,
but
I mean, there. I will say this movie, from what I have read, has some of the most lengthy dissection of all of Argento's films. That a lot of people have really delved into a lot of the kind of the themes and the kind of underlying ideas of it. So. Again, when I first watched this, I didn't pick up on any of that. I was just like, holy shit, this is awesome. And because I'm just a sucker for a Goblin soundtrack. So Goblin, again, has a soundtrack in this movie that at times feels borderline inappropriate.
No,
and that's what makes it work. I don't know what happens, but it works.
Listen, the crane sequence with the Goblin music is its own fucking music video.
That's true.
I mean, would you say it's like 2.5 minutes long?
It's about 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, that's a 2.5 minute Goblin music video. If you watch nothing else from this movie, if you have no interest, right? Yeah. Just find the 2.5 minute crane sequence and watch it with the volume up, and enjoy the music and the excellent camera work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, some directors don't even get that much.
No, and that's another reason that I understand why people place this movie so highly is in terms of filmmaking. It is definitely at the very top of when he was making his best movies. I mean, it's just there's very, very memorable, like the death scene of the woman at the very end where her blood like fans across this white wall is just it's beautifully gory. I don't know how else to put it. I think I said this when we were watching it. I think Tarantino has referenced that as his favorite death scene in any movie. And if you watch like Kill Bill, you can kind of see some of it. Not that was the only influence, but like when he kills her and you just this gush of blood like sprays, like it looks like somebody's painting with it, like this intentional thing on a white canvas. There's stuff like that, and then there's the crane scene. I mean, it's. If somebody tells me this is their favorite Argento film, I wouldn't say, well, you're wrong because this is better. I'd be like, yeah, no, I understand that. But I agree with you. I think a similar movie that I think has the same type of problem that I agree with you this movie has, but this movie has it worse, is the one where the woman's brother was secretly into her and he literally reveals that at the end.
And it's right at the end. Suddenly he's the psychopath. Yes. And you're like, whoa, wait a minute here.
Yeah, that is probably the worst one of this type where it's like, there's none of that in here. This came out of nowhere. And that is worse, but it's a similar issue.
If like the best twist movies like that, I'm trying to think where like the killer is revealed late, but you get it. Well, I mean, Scream. Scream is a big thing. Like, honestly, it's weird. Scream would be a movie you could have watched in this series because there's two killers, right? Mm-hmm. And it's a reveal that they're both people who are close to the lead. Like, the one is her boyfriend and the other one's his, like, best friend.
Nothing underneath. We watched that one. The one with the woman who's got the dead woman in her apartment. That's a great one.
Yeah.
That's all there. It's laid out. Like, you can see the path to it.
And that one is well done. You makes sense to you why she And you almost feel bad for her in a weird, cryptic, terrible sort of way.
I do feel bad for her. Even though, she's murdering people. I have sympathy for her.
She feels that they destroyed the woman that she was in love with.
I'm not saying it's good she did it, but I understand why somebody could get to that point and break. And it's sad because there's no indication that woman is a bad person. The interesting thing about the writer in this movie is
was he always this way?
This is my kind of issue and not issue with it. You see this scene where there's a group of men and a woman, and you never see the faces of any of the men except for what we find out is Neil. Yeah. And even that, because he's remembering it. And I still wonder if he's like taking drugs when he remembers it because there's these weird sound effects and you see his eyes dilating. So I don't know. It doesn't really show us what's going on. He's just remembering it somehow. But there's all these like shirtless men around a woman. And
it's very sexualized. Like, she's
very sexualized.
She's kneeling by them and then she takes her top
with her head against their crotch.
Yeah.
And
then, very sexualized.
And then one of them gets pinned down by the other men, and she wearing these.
Hold on. One of them punches her in the face.
Oh yeah.
Let's be clear. Yes. Yeah. So one of them, because it didn't come out of nowhere. One of them punches her in the face and then takes off running down the beach, and the other boys chase him with the girl. And when they catch him, they hold him down, and the girl proceeds to like put her red heel in his like mouth and his throat while they beat on him. And here's the thing. I don't have a lot of pity for whoever that is because he just randomly, needlessly punched this woman in the face. I mean, he incited the violence and lost.
Well, that's where I was going with it is you see him pinned down and she puts her heel in his mouth, and this is because he had hit her, but we don't really know what led up to that. Because at first, the way the scene's laid out, I thought it was like a photo shoot. That it was supposed to be like, some kind of avant-garde 80s, selling, men's slacks. And a beautiful woman, your pants will be so beautiful that even women will fall for them. Some stupid shit like that. Because
it's misleading. It starts out as like a
it looks like a music video,
like an idealized, like sexy dream, and then it goes south.
Right. And the thing is, we don't, and this is my kind of narrative thing where I'm like, I could have used 5 minutes on what exactly was happening here.
Yeah, why?
Because why did he slap her?
Yeah, why did he hit her?
Because, he's reacting to a sexual humiliation that, as far as we could tell, he earned.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And now here's the weird thing about that sequence, right?
Yeah.
Now, we were watching that sequence, and this is when I said to Joe, is that a woman? Or is that is that a trans woman? And you were like, what? And I was like, oh, whatever, forget about it. And then you ended up finding out that the girl in that sequence is a trans woman.
Well,
right?
Okay, so
or is
here was the sequence of things that happened.
Yeah.
This is what happened is you asked that when she still had her top on.
Yeah, and then she took her top off.
And then she takes the top off and
she does have
exposes
a small
her
chest,
breasts.
yes.
And you said, oh, no, it's a woman. And I said, I don't know. And that's when I looked it up.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, in fact, this is listed as a trans actor who I could find nothing more about.
Yeah.
Because this is what I mean about the 5 minutes. Was the idea going to be revealed that she took off the rest of the dress and he reacted by slapping her?
So here's the thing, right? So if you go by what's in the text, and that's the phrase I get from school, which is basically sometimes when you're interpreting a piece of work, you have to go by what's on the screen, not by what's not there. So in this case, we have to go by what's on the screen. And on the screen, whoever this actress is outside of this, in this movie, they are presented as a woman, and no information is ever given to you that it is not a woman. You never see anything, and in fact, the only thing they show you of this actress is that they have breasts. Therefore, for the sake of the movie, regardless of anything beyond that, it is a woman. It is a woman that with no information, the person strikes and then runs away and is beaten up by the others and humiliated by the woman. That is all the information we are given by the director. That is all that is intended. So we can make interpretations, but that will go beyond whatever the movie was. So the fact that we even know that that's a trans actor of any kind has nothing to actually do with the movie. The director never said that it did. It's never cited. And in fact, I thought that maybe it would, but here's the thing. Only the first killer goes after deviants. It's the second killer is just killing people out of basically his own interest and gain. Right? At no point does the writer kill deviants of any kind. He's killing people that he's angry with, right? Because for him, it's killing people who he feels have wronged him. It's the first killer who has nothing. And honestly, here's another question. No, it is his memory. Right? They did say that was the killer, the writer, he was suspected of perhaps killing a girl in Maine. Okay,
yes.
So that was his. Yeah. So. Yeah, I think we have to let it go. I think we just have to accept it. It was a weird detail that we picked up, and then otherwise we have to just. Yeah.
Well, and not even the specific part about whether the woman was in fact a trans woman or not. That's not even the part. I would have liked a little bit more of what led up to them being on the beach, because that's the only part that's it's an odd thing to just jump into. Yeah. Was this something where? I don't know why they went from woman with 3 men or 4 men to he slaps her.
Unless the sequence is that he thought he was special, and then she was like, "Oh no, I'll fuck all of you," and he was like, "You whore,"
and that's fine. But that's the one piece I'm missing as to what happened between. Yeah. Again, but to your point, what's presented? What's presented is at first this woman seems to be okay with a group of men.
Yeah.
For whatever. That there is no indication that, because it would be one thing if we saw her with one man and then 3 others stepped out and she suddenly got worried or concerned. No, She's fine with all these guys, which is fine. But then suddenly we cut to he slaps her. But why? That's the one thing I wish I had just that little bit more of it.
Yeah,
and as you said, the movie doesn't give it to us. What I'd be curious about is if a copy of the script exists that has it. Because that would at least give me something, but I can't find it yet.
Yeah.
Just to be interested in the roots of where... Because there's 3 stages a film exists in. Really. A movie like this. Where it seems to be very much the production of the person who made it, meaning Dario Argento. Although I believe there's other writers. Is he credited? He's credited as the only writer. Whether that's true or not, probably debatable to some degree. I'm sure others contribute ideas. But he had the initial idea from all accounts, right? So that's step 1. Oh, here's the idea for a movie I want to make. Whatever form that takes. Then you write a script. And that is generally the purest translation from mind to what you intend the film to be, meaning the ideas. Then in the course of making the film, sometimes things change, sometimes they don't. And so I would be, in the case of this movie, which is not the case for most movies. Most movies, I don't need to know what the script says. A lot of people collect them. I've never been a person like that. But movies like this are where I would be interested to see what the original script looked like. Was there more, or was this literally what was written in the script? In which case, that's all you can take from it. But there is, to me, an interesting gray zone that sometimes exists when you take the script and change it into the film. And that's just a pure curiosity. It won't change the film. I still like the movie. It's not going to change anything about it. But if there was a whole paragraph in there that explained what the setup of that scene was, or whether there was more to what we saw, or planned memory scenes that were cut, that could be potentially interesting. It's not going to, I want to be very clear, it will not change the fact that the reveal was incorrectly handled for a first watch. No doubt about it. There should have been a more clear, like the confrontation with the copycat, in that, number one, they should have been clear on who was speaking, because it wasn't clear, unless you saw the movie already. And the other is, then there should have been a line where the copycat said something like, or the guy said, I want to thank you. If you hadn't shown me what I was meant to do, I wouldn't have started doing it again. And then there, you've solved the problem of why he snapped. You know what I mean? One line. And maybe that was in the script. And then you go, why did you change that? And that's just fun for me academically. Doesn't change anything. But that's the type of stuff where I'm always, I enjoy the creative transmutation process that these things take. Where you go, what was the original idea and why did it change? And, and does that actually change significantly what we got or not? Doesn't matter. Movie's the movie, as you said. The movie is what you are given. The movie is all you have. As far as I am aware, there are no alternate cuts. There is no extra footage. Nothing.
To interpret it, but one of the ways to interpret is just say what's on the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I do know that this was at least partially based on Argento being stalked by a fan in L.A. after Suspiria, which kind of makes sense with the copycat killer, because apparently this person was saying, I want to kill you in the way you've killed others. So, so that part seems fairly obvious, but like I said, it's the more of, what else? But like I said, there's really no other version of this that I'm aware of that's significantly different. So it's one of the rare cases where a lot of European films, like Dawn of the Dead, has at least 4 versions. Blade Runner has at least 4 versions. Like a lot of movies have multiple versions where you see different things. This one doesn't seem to be one. So this is it. But yeah. But as you said, if you don't bother watching anything else from this, do watch the crane shot. There's multiple uploads of it on YouTube. It is a magnificent example of a pre-CG way of accomplishing something. Because you will realize, as this is 1982, There are no visual effects in this. They had to figure out how to shoot this thing in one shot, which I don't know if we mentioned this, one continuous shot where the camera is moving outside of a building from the first floor to the second floor, over the roof at one point, back down, and moving around. They can't show you where you don't see the crane, except I do think you see just the edge of it in one shot, but that's okay. Where you're not seeing any reflections in windows, which itself is a whole logistical nightmare. Because again, no CG to remove the reflection. It's just not there. It is a masterpiece of physical filmmaking with the score overlaid on it to just create this. It's just amazing. So if you don't watch anything else, watch that crane shot. It is amazing to see. So, but in general, yeah, great movie. The narrative flaw is one that maybe us telling you about the story will help alleviate. It will not change the fact that it is not as well handled as it should be in the course of the film. It asks you to do a hell of a jump without necessarily giving you the necessary runway to get your car across the chasm, to put it in Evel Knievel terms. But even so, visually stunning. Stunning. Soundtrack worth owning on its own. Again, it's one of those things where I will sometimes not forget how good Argento can be. Because you look at a movie like this and you look at like Phantom of the Opera, and while that movie is fun for its zaniness, nothing in there is at the scale that this movie is. Like, it doesn't have that artistic prowess. It's fun, but it ain't this, where he was really doing something nobody else was doing. Phantom of the Opera that we watched, you could see other directors making that movie. There really wasn't anything in it that was unusual in its greatness in terms of the filmmaking. It does not it doesn't break any new ground. Whereas, have I seen a crane shot like there was in Tenebrae often? I've seen great shots, but I can't think of anything else like that. That's quite like that. That was done practically anymore. Same thing with Deep Red. The little guy coming out of the door, the little automaton that they built and that actually worked, it's fucking awesome. Also great soundtrack. And then Suspiria is the use of color. The use of color and mood and, again, the Goblin score, but also that building, the look of that place they were in, and just the extreme use of bright colors and the whole feel of that movie. So when I watch these, one of the great parts about revisiting Argento a lot is I get reminded of why he is exceptional, or was at this particular time before it sort of got diluted, and for whatever reason he seems to have kind of regressed a bit in what he was doing, and I don't know what the reasons are. But
watching all these movies of these directors getting older and whatnot, you know what it really makes me do? It makes me realize how much better than I even thought it was that Megapolis was.
Yeah. Well,
because
you are correct, though. It makes you appreciate certain directors that get better and better as they go along. And
I appreciate directors that are willing to take weird chances and try to make fucked up movies that they want to make. I think some directors get
cautious.
Safe. Yeah, they get cautious. Yeah. Say what you will about Ridley Scott. I mean, Ridley Scott is visually a really great director, but I don't really feel like he's pushing territory. I want to watch that series Raised by Wolves that he did. I heard that was interesting.
Yeah,
but
it's good.
Yeah, but beyond that, it's I watch the movies that come out of his. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. Did he direct that one Aliens that I fucking despise?
Which one?
You know the one that
Covenant?
Yeah, the one with the 2 demons.
He did Prometheus and Covenant. He did them both. Yeah.
Fuck that. Okay, there you go. Well, I hate that movie. But either way, you know what? At least he was trying
visually
something.
They were good.
But visually they look great, yeah. But a lot of directors, as they get older, they kind of get, and listen, creativity is very difficult to maintain. Some people get a lot of it when they're younger, and when they get older, they just get tired. And some people, for some reason, they can, some people have a creative maintenance that goes through their whole life. But, creativity is hard. My wife and I were just talking about this, about musicians from our, youth who've gone on to, keep having like these very steady careers. We're talking about Robert Plant. Robert Plant, because he was always in a band where he wasn't the only lead person there. He had Bonham and Page there, who were two giants. He has gone on to be in multiple bands where, though he is the lead, he's not the whole show, and he knows how not to be the whole show. You know, and he goes on to make interesting music. It's different music. It changes. But it's like, it's that maintaining this level of creativity, and for the amount of stuff that you've got to do. So some directors do it their whole life. Some directors, they kind of tap out and they make some shit. I haven't seen a lot of the later work of Argento, but I mean, Phantom of the Opera was later, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I have seen his later stuff, and
did it taper off?
It's between. Some of them are pretty bad, but I honestly couldn't tell you one director who hasn't made. There are a few directors who've made a lot of movies and none of them are bad.
Absolutely,
right? So,
yeah. So,
but what many of them are unremarkable, where you wouldn't even know he made them. That's the way to put it. Yeah, whereas somebody like, say, Terry Gilliam, his style of filmmaking has held. Terry Gilliam's films all feel like Terry Gilliam films. You know what I mean? They all have that.
It never feels like he's phoning it in.
Right.
He's always after something. And I think I say Gilliam, whenever you watch his movies, it always feels like he is after something. He is after an idea. He is trying to get you there. In fact, I think the weakest of his movies for me is the Don Quixote one.
Oh,
for me.
Yes.
Was it Lost in... No, that was the documentary. What was that one called?
No, it's...
The Man Who Shot Don Quixote. Jeez. Isn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I think that's it. I think that's right.
Yeah, but beyond that, I mean, his movies are always... There's always this kind of strange absurdity, but there's also this desperation and sometimes this, this despair that comes over you. It's great movies. Just great movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So... Even Zero... was it Zero Theorem? Is that the one he did with Christopher Waltz?
Yeah.
And that's such a heavy...
Which I like a lot.
I like it a lot, too. It's such a heavy movie, and yet it's so good.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean... It's interesting to see some directors the way they go,
Right.
Like, and circling back, Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder has refined his action. His action sequences are fantastic, but he's lapsing in these other areas of his movie making and just ignoring them and just going on and making, bad action movies.
Yeah, so that's really what Argento became later, was either his movies were sort of just, they did not have his flair anymore, or they were pretty bad, like Dracula 3000 or whatever. Is it Dracula 3000 is the one he made?
You know what? I want to watch that Luc Besson Dracula movie. I want to see if Luc Besson is still having a good time.
What was that one called?
What, isn't it just called Dracula?
Is that what it's called? I don't remember.
What, the Luc Besson one?
Sorry, Dracula 3000. Dracula 3000 is not the one I'm thinking of. Hold on. He did do a Dracula movie. Hold on. Argento. That's widely regarded as fairly awful, so I don't even want to watch it. Dracula 3D. Yeah, he did Dracula 3D.
It doesn't sound good.
I mean, the only thing that makes me curious, although this is no guarantee of anything, is Rutger Hauer as Van Helsing in it, but that doesn't mean it's good.
Well, Rutger Hauer can go a lot of different ways.
Yeah. It's widely regarded as pretty awful. I watched the one Dark Glasses that he made, which is from 2022, and I thought that one was okay, except that there's nothing about it that would tell me it was a Dario Argento movie.
I'm starting to get this vibe that if his daughter is in the movie, it's not good.
Well, there is that. Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I mean about, the later stuff, and she's in the third Suspiria movie, Mother of Tears. She's the third mother.
There you go.
Right? Yes. So if you go through his stuff, where the break appears to happen is right around Trauma, which was 1993. Now, Trauma is a divisive one in that some people think it's very good, some people don't. But guess who's one of the main stars in it?
Asia Argento?
Daughter. Right?
Yeah.
Daughter. So, yeah, I don't know. The last one that everybody tends to agree, and we will watch this one at some point, is the last Dario Argento film of his prime is 87's Opera.
Wow.
Which, coincidentally, guess who's in that one?
His daughter.
No, Daria Nicolodi, not his daughter. And that's what I'm saying about that one is what a lot of people say is the last good one.
Was she his wife?
I don't think they were ever married. I believe they were involved, and she co-wrote some of his early stuff, and then I guess he took credit and didn't credit her, and then that ended that. So she was like, I'll be in your movies, but I'm not co-writing anything anymore, and, you know, which sucks because she's awesome.
Got it.
And by all accounts is responsible for a lot of the good ideas in some of his early stuff. But, you know, what else is new in filmmaking? So, yeah.
Well, there you go.
So we will, at some point, we'll watch everything up until, I said this in my 5, that eventually you will see every Argento film up through Opera. One way or another, we're going to see them all. Because, well, not literally all the ones. We don't have to watch like his 66 stuff where he was like just a writer or whatever. I don't care about that. But I mean his shit. We'll start everything between Bird with the Crystal Plumage and Opera. We will eventually watch. So far, we've watched Deep Red, Suspiria, Inferno, Tenebrae, and Phantom of the Opera. But of his prime period, we've watched 4 of the 1, 2, 3. We'll probably watch Phenomena, but it's a lot of bug stuff, and I don't like bug stuff. Where was I? 5, 6. So we probably watched about half of them. Probably about half. And we'll watch all of his prime stuff because, you know,
it'll be
his
interesting.
Prime stuff is good. Yeah. If I had to guess, let me think about this now.
You know what?
Make a prediction now.
You should really come up with a sound effect from when we break 3 hours.
Yeah, probably. You're right. You know what? No, I already have the sound effect. It is. Hold on. It is right here.
You shut the fuck up!
Right. That's really it. All right, so I'll do this quick and then we'll end here. I'm going to predict that you will like the Cat o' Nine Tails. You will probably be okay with the Bird with the Crystal Plumage. You might like that one. 4 Flies on Grey Velvet is going to be a wild card for you, I think. And I would suspect that you will enjoy Opera. Phenomena, I barely remember because I don't really like it because of all the bug shit. It's the young Jennifer Connelly one where she controls bugs. Or psychically talks to them, which it's too much bug stuff for me. I'm not necessarily afraid of bugs, but I don't need to see them on everything. But, you know, that's okay. Yeah. On that note, everybody, both movies we've talked about worth seeing. I actually think that us spoiling Tenebrae might help you if you've never seen it before, because it'll grease a little bit of the narrative wheels on that one. Might erase a little bit of that friction, because I'm big on analogies now. I've done sports, jumping over things like Evel Knievel, and now I'm doing food stuff, greasing. So Tenebrae, if you know the story, I think actually will benefit you going into it, because then you can just enjoy the visuals and the music without having to worry too much about catching everything that's going on or being confused on whose voice is saying what. Makes that easier. And House with the Laughing Windows, you just have to know that it's not going to have the happiest of endings. But is it worth seeing once? Yeah, I think it is. And I think we both said it's worth seeing once. Would you revisit it? Well, that's up to you. Tenebrae, this was my 4th time seeing it. And it seems to get better for me as I get older. Maybe not a surprise. Because, you know, I memorize more of the story and I'm less confused by any of it. And I remember everything that's happening. But either way, maybe not so much on Rebel Moon. Might want to skip that one. I think that Lando and I would probably both recommend Rogue Moon over Rebel Moon if you want to enjoy a sci-fi story.
Rogue Moon is a great movie. Yeah.
That's it. So that might be the better way. And Bubo's awesome. So if you like Bubo, there's a nice statue of him available in various forms. If you prefer those spread wing version of him, hey, guess what? You're going to save some money. If you really like him on a branch, hey, you're going to save even more. So you got options. There are many ways to have Bubo literally as a part of your life. And if you were missing that little guy, and he is awesome, you can go have a version of him yourself. On that note, that's it. We should shut up now because we're we're a bit over 3 hours. So on that note, that's it. Go watch the 2 movies that we reviewed. Don't watch Rebel Moon. Bubo's great, and we will most likely be here again next week. Visit OzoneNightmare.com to subscribe to new episodes or to browse through our back catalog. Email questions or comments to ozonenightmare@gmail.com. If you'd like to support the show, visit supportourshow.com and select whatever option works best for you. The opening theme for the show is provided by Heartbeat Hero. The closing theme is provided by Ogre. Please visit and support these artists using the links in the show notes for each episode.